The following podcast contains strong language and alternative facts. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Heel Podcast. Over the airwaves and under the influence, we are Turning Heel.
Let's get the shindig started. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Turning Heel podcast with me, the Griz. And with me this week, cue the music. I can hear him hopping along. Dun 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 dun. It's Robert.
So it works.
Yes. My new chair doesn't bounce. Not even my old chair, to be honest. It's Robert the Robot Rabbit.
Or Robert the Ramping Rabbit?
Robert the Rambling Rabbit.
Hey, Griz, dude!
Yeah, that was immaculate, actually.
Just needed to be a tiny bit more squeaky.
Yeah. So we're back after a brief hiatus. You know, sometimes life gets in the way, but we could not pass up the opportunity to obviously sit and talk about the first ever blood and guts match, because that's kind of what it is. They keep alluding to it.
Blood and guts. Blood and guts. Blood and guts.
Oh, and it was an interesting show, all in all.
Blood and guts, blood and guts, blood and motherfucking guts, blood and guts.
Hold on, I'm going to try something. Blood and guts, and blood and guts.
Blood and guts. We are musical geniuses.
Damn right. And then I was at work. I started listening to some music, which did start off with Shotzi Blackheart's theme, because that's been released on Spotify now. And then I just kind of let it play, and it just played random stuff. Hey Hey Ho Ho came on twice, and I was not opposed to it whatsoever, and listened to it both times. Because when you think Rabbit song, that comes on after.
Yes.
So, before we start with the coverage of, we're going to start off with last week's Impact, because we're recording this on a Thursday, so this week's hasn't happened yet, and that was the first show since Rebellion, so I feel like it's kind of important to mention. We'll maybe gloss over it slightly and maybe not go too in depth. But before we start with coverage, you were telling us just before we came on, and so let's get in a deeper convo about it, about MLW and another little promotion that might be making its way back.
Yay! But with a different name, I think, due to copyright and all that shenanigans. But essentially, it looks as though it's the same promotion, just with a new name. At the end of MLW Fusion this week, there was a promo segment thing that was pretty much a backstage segment from the old Lucha Underground. That same style, camera work. It basically, you could watch an episode of Lucha Underground and watch this promo, and you would basically say, right, okay,
Like it was from
it's exactly the same sort of style and production. So money's went into this.
Yeah.
And El Jefe of Azteca Underground was revealed as motherfucking Dario Cueto. Yes!
You called it. You called it fucking months ago.
No, but but it's not really an issue of calling it. It had to be, or it wouldn't have the same feel.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you could bring back his dad and maybe try and continue the story from Lucha Underground slightly. But the guy that played Dario's dad was the guy that played Dario.
Yes. Plus, in the last episode, his dad died and Cueto got resurrected anyway, so...
No, his dad's eyes... No. Dario Cueto died at the end of season 3, and his dad took over the temple.
Yeah, but then he was resurrected at the end of season 4, and I thought his dad died.
Yeah, he was resurrected, but his dad's not dead.
I
don't think.
I thought Cage murdered him.
Fuck. Well, I think we will all find out what happened at the end of Lucha Underground season 4 eventually when we get to watching it.
Yes.
And a little side project.
Yes.
Going underground.
Lucha Underground. Oh, yeah. So we kind of were speaking about it at the end of one episode. Yeah, it's definitely happening. Coming to you soon. We will be looking at Lucha Underground from the beginning. And we don't have a confirmation of when it's going to happen. It's obviously going to be when, COVID restrictions and all that hoopla gets out of the way. But it's going to be the tried and true turning heel-esque style of watch-along. So we hope that you watch along with us. So
yay! Because you're going to have so much fun!
So this is your warning now. Dig out those old Lucha Underground tapes, or if you're in America, dig them out on Netflix. Lucky bastards having goddamn Lucha Underground on Netflix.
I think it's over here on the iTunes store.
Ooh. And we will watch some Lucha Underground wrestling. Get ready for the return of Big Rick.
Not some. All.
Yes. Oh, it's going to happen.
We're going to go episode by episode.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, fucking is. I think, say with a tiny I love wrestling, but I think Lucha Underground is my favourite.
Yeah, when that was a thing on TV, it's the thing that I have with AEW now, of every week, that's the first thing that I'll plonk on. And that was the case for Lucha Underground. Every week that there was a new episode of Lucha Underground, I think NXT was also on the same night back then. I would always be like, right, Lucha Underground first, NXT second.
The good thing about back then was these things were only on for an hour.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Unless it was an Ultima Lucha.
Yeah. And then even then, hell, I would take it. Because 2 hours Ultima Lucha is better than most episodes of NXT. Except this week. This week's NXT was outstanding, I must say. NXT, I think, have really been knocking it out of the park since they've moved tonight. And I don't know if that's just partly because they don't have the brand out. Oh, really? Yeah, I have one as well. Hopefully it may be the same thing.
I thought that Say Cheese was the new theme song, but they keep changing the theme song every fucking week.
Yeah, it seems like it. I know.
Stick to Poppy, man.
Poppy is Poppy is NXT. She's always been NXT. But nevertheless, the only other kind of thing we wanted to mention, because we're bringing up MLW, I was reading the fact that WWE are attempting to try and get in bed with MLW in terms of partnership, because I guess WWE are feeling scrutinized recently that AEW's partnered with all these other companies, and then everybody keeps making comparisons about how WWE doesn't do that. So they're like, oh, well, okay, why don't we try and get a wee thing going with MLW, and then that gives a bunch of her NXT roster that has nothing to do, places to work.
But then the people that work in MLW, some of them are then being replaced and displaced, and then they have nothing to do. It's a vicious cycle.
Do you think WWE cares about that?
No, but I don't think people like fucking Ariel Dominguez are going to be on the fucking card if that happens.
Well, also, like, I feel like if this is going to happen, they need to do the other thing that's been reported is they were apparently going to be doing NXT Evolve, and so that way that would be yet another kind of subsection of NXT, and then you can have LLW and NXT people going back and forth on those, and because there's not enough wrestling in the world, and
Oh, bless.
Because I mean, now that Lucha Underground is potentially coming back under the guise of MLW, like that means I need to watch it, which means that's already another hour that's been added on to my wrestling life. And with NWA being back, and yeah, I guess I'm never going to catch up in NXT UK and Stardom at this point.
You just need to prioritise. Watch the ones that you like
first,
and then if you've got time.
I do like them.
There's some you like more than others.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I find times to churn out something from every company, like at some point. So it is what it is. So what we'll do is we'll very quickly just have a very quick gander at last week, because I still have last week's NXT notes up. And so that can lead into NXT for this week, because obviously, as we said, this was a big show. And then next week, also a very big show. There's at least 2 title matches next week. So Dakota Kai took on Mercedes, which ended with Gonzo interfering and then two going at it. And Gonzo will defend the women's title against Martinez next week on the show. The Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell thing took another turn because Ember and Shotzi started receiving flowers and all that sort of stuff. Gramey finally came face to face with Ted DiBiase.
Well, I was completely fucking wrong, wasn't I?
Yeah, and then as soon as I seen that, I was like, oh my god, I was right. And it seems like that's just going to be a thing now. As we've seen this week.
Anything that man wants is going to be outbid.
Tony Storm took on what we thought at the time was going to be a big old jobber by the name of Zeta Ramir. But Zeta Ramir ends up picking a massive upset victory by hitting a shooting star press after Tony Storm got distracted by Stark. And so we'll see Zeta on this week's episode of NXT as well. Bronson Reed defeated Austin Theory, which means he gets another shot at the North American title. Dane and Drake took on Imperium, which they lost, and that sets up for a match that Dane and Alexander Wolf will have next week. And
about the Drake and Dane team, I did like that Drake was at, like, I know how this goes, you're going to fucking attack me. Like, I've seen it before. It's the fact that they called it out, I thought it was quite funny.
Yeah, and it was like, it's either you're going to attack me when we walk down the ring, or you're going to stand on the apron, and I'm going to reach for the tag, and then you're going to jump off the apron. It was all good shit. Then, in the main event, Legado del Fantasma beat MSK and Kushida, which gives...
Destroyed them.
I know. What a fucking match.
Kushida didn't forget his shoes.
Yeah, I think that was the first note I had, actually, was Kushida's found his shoes this week, and then I says, I knew when he kept slipping all around the ring last week that he was going to go back to boots. Good boy. And on the AEW side, in an absolute fucking shocker, Brian Cage defeated Hangman Page.
that was amazing for me, because basically what that done was, we'll talk about it at Blood and Gut when we discuss the Blood and Gut show. Basically, just knocks Paige right out of the number one contender spot.
Yep.
So good, so good.
Matt and Mick Seidel took.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cage. Thank you, Cage. Matt and Mick Seidel took on the Young Bucks in a really good match. This prompted SCU to come out and say that they were the number one contenders. This then led to a match that happened on this week's show. Orange Cassidy took on Penta El Zero M and beat him.
Nah, I don't accept it.
Oh man, it was another massive shock though. There was stuff.
It was, but Trent can't beat him, but Orange Cassidy can.
Trent?
I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like Cassidy better more than Trent, so it is what it is. The Factory defeated the Nightmare Family, and Darby retained the TNT title against 10. With the finish of that match, me genuinely thinking 10 was going to win the fucking belt till he got rolled up.
The 10 NT Championship.
The TN10 Championship?
Yeah.
Works either way.
You made it sound better.
I did try. And that is your that is this episode of Turning Heel. Ho!
See, we've got more though.
Oh, yes, we did. So we'll jump into Impact, which was obviously the last Thursday, a week today. So this week's Impact has not aired yet. So this makes this episode of Impact still kind of relevant. So it starts off with Demure backstage, surrounded by the roster, which he sends out to the ring. Don Callis comes out of Demure's locker room and says, "Oh yeah, I'm setting up the Zoom link with Kenny." And Scott is like, "Zoom link," and then Don starts describing what Zoom is. And then Demure starts laying out the agreements of the contract, saying, "Oh, Kenny must be here in person. Those were the rules, or he'll be stripped of the world title and suspended from both companies." So Don Callis is now in a mad rush to get Kenny Omega to the building before the end of the night. Scotty then comes out, addresses the roster around the ring, explains that Swan won't get a rematch as per the contract, but at Under Siege, which is next Saturday?
I believe so. I think it's the
15th?
or 15th.
14th, 15th. There will be
I think if I'm not mistaken, WrestleMania Backlash is on the 16th.
Potentially. I know for a fact that I will not be seeing WrestleMania Backlash live because it does not coincide with my days off. But Under Siege on a Saturday night, I can watch that.
Hell yeah.
Can you watch that?
Yes, I can. Can you watch it? Yes, I can.
So at Under Siege, we will be having a 6-way match to determine the number one contender for the Impact World Championship, unless Kenny Omega does not show his face by the end of the night. Then it will become a 6-way for the championship. So we get our 6 qualifying matches on this show and next, with the first match being Jake something versus the returning Chris Bay.
Oh, so happy that Chris Bay's back. I've missed him.
I barely noticed he was gone.
You're an idiot.
And I don't even mean that in like a bad way. I just think like Impact has been so busy recently that he just kind of flew under the radar for me. So something hits a powerbomb for 2. Bay counters the Black Hole Slam and a roll up for 2. Something attempts a pile driver, which Bay again counters in a roll up for another 2. Something hits a spin line which knocks Bay loopy. Something then sets up for a spear, but Rahit grabs the leg of Jake Something, allowing Bay to hit a drop kick into the corner, a roll up with the feet on the ropes for the victory.
Yeah, Jake got finessed.
And it's kind of nice that, like, when Rahit grabbed it, it was like, whoa, what the fuck's going on here? Oh, yeah, they do have history.
Yeah, him and Mahabali.
And Chris Bay.
What?
Yeah, Chris Bay and Rahit.
Oh, yeah, from ages ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought your Skype crashed for a second there. I got worried.
No, you went quiet, and I was just like, "All right, okay, I'm waiting for the end of the sentence as they finished." I don't know what to say.
Backstage, Seth.
I kind of felt a little bit like Tina from Bob's Burgers, just kind of awkward.
It is the best, except Eugene. Eugene's the best, except Louise. Louise is the best, except Bob. Bob is the best. Except
no,
Linda.
The kids are awesome. The kids are the best part.
Linda's the best. Well, they're all the best. Backstage, Don Callis is there. Sami Callihan walks up and calls him the Jackal. The Jackal. Jackal? Looks like a jackal. A jackal. A jackal. A jackal?
Yeah, the old manager of the Truth Commission. Yeah, and the Oddities and the original Acolytes.
Yeah. And also he done some shit in ECW, which I'm not too up to date on. But I knew he was there.
Cyrus the Virus.
The Virus.
It was a liaison to the TNN network. And basically anything that they wanted to do, the network wouldn't let them do. Or if they just wanted to get heat on the TNN network, it was, he would come out and basically say, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. He was actually the guy that announced that ECW was getting cancelled from TNN at a live show.
Oh, dear.
So he was kayfabe, like an associate of the network.
Yes, like Palmer Cannon.
Yeah, a lot like that, but a heel, whereas Palmer Cannon was just kind of in between.
Yeah. But he cancelled that Christy Hemme versus Stacy Keibler pillow fight that one time. And I don't think I've ever forgiven him for it.
And I don't think you ever will.
Like I said, they put it on WWE.com, so... But still, I had to go searching for it. What a nightmare.
And that's not good.
It's never good when you need to make me look for things. Don... Sammy starts going on about what Don's been doing with Omega. Don kind of asks, why is this any of your business? Sammy says, it's my business because I'm coming for what's mine. Ooh. Then we go to Taylor Wilde. Oh, she does not look... Oh no, Jesus, bring that back, please. I'll get into that more when her match comes, but Jesus Christ. She does not look like she's aged a day And that's been 10 years since we last seen her on TV.
Yeah, she went into one of those freezer pods like Austin Powers.
And apparently popped out a baby and everything and still looks fucking incredible. She was always one of my bays back in the day. Probably before that word was even invented.
So you're telling me that she was Baylor Wild?
Yeah, daddy. So she starts to get interviewed and then is joined by Tennille Dashwood, who offers Taylor to be her tag team partner. Dashwood then says, "Oh, it's nice to think that you came out of retirement just to be my partner." And Taylor's like, "No, I'm after the women's title." And Dashwood's like, "Yeah, the women's tag team titles." And then Taylor's like, "No." And then she wanders off. And then Caleb's like, "Oh, she clearly is trying one of those things." It's like, when she means like, like, no doy,
That's kind of bugged me.
Go on.
I mean, Tennille was literally just challenging for the Knockouts Championship, and then it's kind of like, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Back to this.
It feels like a step back.
I kind of look at it as a way of like, well, that didn't work out. What's my other option to quickly try and get some championship gold? Is go back to finding a partner.
But it's never fucking worked out for her.
I know.
It's the definition of insanity, not doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
I know. Which is one of these things where I feel like this has to lead to somebody coming in.
Maybe
2 people coming in.
I get the feeling that this is setting up for some sort of iconic duo to fucking reappear.
Yeah, and I genuinely think that the 3 of them together have potential to be like hilarious, because Tennille really is kind of doing the same gimmick as the 2 of them were in a way, with the whole "I'm a bit fucking dumb and incredibly attractive. Here's my Instagram."
Buddy.
I know he won't get off the fucking desk, so I thought I'd just hold him for a bit to annoy him. So I feel like the 3 of them together like have a lot. 3 of them and then Caleb chiming in, and maybe like this could be a way to. I don't want it to be, but if there's a way that you want Caleb to move on from Tennille, it would be like if Tennille just starts becoming obsessed with the Iconics, and then like Caleb's like, "Oh, I used to be the guy that you cared about, and now these 2 are here."
But the thing is, she doesn't really care about them. She just uses them for photos and stuff.
Yeah, he thinks that he's like in on it, like in as a part of the thing, but really, he's just like her kind of slave.
Yes.
Yeah. Your video's crashed.
Oh, so it has, but I'm still here.
No, I was getting worried there for a second.
Oh, that is a horrendous fucking way to pause the video. Wow, look, minging.
Head cocked to the side like a dog.
Look at it, Griz. Look at it. Look at
Oh,
me.
believe me, I'm looking at it. The only thing that would have been worse is if this was full screen.
Oh.
So we get the other 3 matches that are set for next week. That's going to be in the qualifying rounds. So we get Grumpy Trey taking on Rohit Raju, Moose taking on James Storm, and Rhino taking on Chris Sabin.
All good matches.
Yeah. And, you know, with Trey exercising his demons of rebellion, maybe he might not be as grumpus.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
I'll tell you somebody who is grumpy, and that is Sam Beale's opponent for the next match, W. Morrissey.
Oh, just say the way that you're dealing with Morrissey. Just keep. If he keeps doing the way he done this week, he's going to be a big fucking player in Impact.
Yeah, definitely. So he comes out and he says that none of the roster love or care about you people, as he points to the camera. And the only difference is that Morrissey isn't afraid to admit it. Squash match, powerbomb, victory.
Yeah. Oh, it was great.
I fully agree with you in terms of, like, if they keep Morrissey on this path, he's hell. I would not be opposed to him maybe going up against Omega to try and get the Impact title back.
Yeah. I feel I watched a couple of interviews with him, and basically he's been through the fucking ringer with his health and everything else, and
yeah,
I'm happy that he's in a good place now, and he's going full bush with his career and basically trying to be the best he can be.
Yeah, because there was a lot of scares at a few points when it came to Morrissey. With there was that time that he passed out at an autograph signing or something and had to get sent to hospital, which was terrifying. And then there was photos of him showing up and he was really out of shape. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not exactly wanting to talk about people that are out of shape or whatever, but Jesus, I'm not a professional wrestler. But yeah, he had a big gut and all that, and it's it just it made you feel bad for him. So it is good to see that not only is he back, he's focused mentally. Definitely look at his fucking physique these days. He's got it physically as well.
Yeah.
So. Fucking hell, that is like half a glass. It's fucking giant, guys. Check that out.
Oh, God.
Well, you can't get that back in the bottle. So...
that for $1.
Big W Morrissey. Two matches already in Impact, and I think I'm definitely on the train. And he's obviously running a very, I'd say different gimmick. It's kind of the gimmick he was running at the end of his WWE career. But even then, I'd say he is a step above what he was then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
it feels like he's motivated this time.
Yeah, because it definitely felt like he was unmotivated during that because of the fact of... he didn't really understand why they broke up Enzo and Cass at that point. And then he got injured, and probably the whole thing of WWE's notorious thing of wanting to get wrestlers back as quickly as possible, and him probably coming back before he was ready, and that leading to unmotivation and all that kind of shit. Yeah. And it must with everything else that was going on backstage as well. Mm-hmm. So moving on from that, we get a Kimberly interview. She says she's going to beat Taylor with her best friends by her side. So Deonna says, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna hold back and watch from backstage tonight, but you and Susan go out there." Then the interviewer, who once again I've forgotten the name of,
Mean Gia.
That's probably why that is a hard name to remember.
Gia?
Oh, Gia.
Mean
Mean Gia. Yeah.
Mean Gene.
Yes, I feel you. She asks Deanna, "Oh, what's the matter? Why are you not going out? Why are you not going out to the ring tonight?" And Deanna just kind of explodes with a whole, "Oh, what are you trying to imply? That I'm scared of Taylor Wilde? No, I've beaten everybody on this roster. Why would I be scared of her?" And this is when Havoc walks up and just kind of stares at her.
Yeah, because I think Nevaeh's done with Impact now for the time being.
I've read that she is done, yeah. Which is kind of weird that you wouldn't even have a...
While we're talking about that,
Uh-huh.
you put their fucking match on before the Impact.
Great. So I was about to say, the two of them didn't even have a blow-off match, and you're telling me, because I keep forgetting about Before the Impact these days. Well, I'm going to go back and watch that, definitely. Yeah, so like, arguably the biggest thing, the only actual tag team other than Fire and Flavor that you had in Impact broke up, and then you have their match on the pre-show. That's a bit strange.
Yes.
There was yet another interview as Willie Mack gets interviewed. He says, "Is there a workers' union where everybody kind of talks when they're about to come into Impact, and the first person that they want to jump is me because he seems to be attacked by everybody?"
Well, maybe a change is needed, Mac.
Yeah, a little bit of a...
I don't think I've ever seen him work heel.
I know, like, the closest to heel that I can remember is when he first came into Lucha Underground. Yes, we're going back there again. But even then, he wasn't working heel that long before he kind of turned face.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It was
I agree
very
with you.
quickly paired up with Sexy Star.
Yeah. And there's always just been that kind of good guy sort of thing since.
Yeah.
So he challenges W. Morrissey to a match at Under Siege. So this card filling up quickly.
Under Siege.
This finally leads us back into some in-ring action as Kimberly, I believe, is this not her first match since she's returned from injury?
I believe so.
She takes on Taylor Wilde.
It was a match.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of one of those things to just get like a half decent wrestler in with Taylor Wilde so she can get a somewhat decent first victory. But I mean, yeah, it is what it is.
I think she's got a bit more ring rust than what we thought she would.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that she was going to be absolutely immaculate.
You would think like they would have done a lot like run throughs with her.
Potentially. And I know, like she wasn't bad. She really wasn't. It's just, unless maybe it was just bad chemistry or something like that. I mean, she's been out of the loop for a while, so.
It wasn't bad, but I mean, it wasn't great.
Great, aye. And especially since clearly this is what your end game is going to be, is Taylor Wilde, Deanna.
Yeah, and they kind of went with the fluky win again, like the way that she sort of came into Impact the first time. Oh, I'm still... Am I? No, I'm not muted.
You're not muted.
So it kind of works as well that, like...
Well, I wouldn't say that the end of this match was a fluke, per se, but...
No, I mean, not the win was a fluke, but it kind of came across as slightly fluky. because Kimber basically mauled her the whole match.
Right. Yeah. Because, okay, let's get into it one more time, because I kind of alluded to it on the pay-per-view, but now we got to hear it properly. Taylor Wilde's music is bad.
Brr.
But she also came out singing it, like, to the camera, and so I felt really bad because she clearly really likes it.
Well,
Also,
if she likes it, then cool.
I think it's just that kind of, like, punky-esque music that I just don't understand.
But to be fair, it's not the worst new theme song that we heard last week.
Oh, no?
No.
I'm trying to think of who you're alluding to.
Fucking the tribal chief, the head of the table.
Oh, God, that's right, yeah.
Why change his music? His musical got fucking booze when he was faced. It didn't have to change.
I don't dislike the theme. I forgot I was still on camera. I don't dislike the theme, just because I feel like it kind of works because it has a bit of a like an Italian sort of twang to it, like like a mafia boss, and obviously being head of the table, it's kind of got that. It's just there was always talk of Roman getting new music when the time was right, and it just kind of sucks that was it, unless it's going to be something that's going to be worked on over time, and maybe the end product might be different, but
yeah, it might evolve.
Yeah.
Because I don't agree with the reactions online. Oh my god, this is like final boss music. Oh, I'm like, fuck off.
And as Chris has said many times in the past, this new guy just really loves the music.
Oh. So happy that Seth Rollins has dropped that Messiah shit.
I really liked the Messiah music, and I don't understand why more people didn't.
I didn't like it because I didn't know who was coming out, whether it was him or Bailey.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when they were both on the same show. It was confusing.
They still are on the same show.
I know, but this was during the point where Bailey was like women's tag champ, so she was allowed on both SmackDown and Raw.
Yeah.
So it was really confusing then. But, I mean, we've still barely heard Rollins' new music, other than really his WrestleMania entrance. So, but it's distinctly an upgrade, at least at this early stage. And I think it's whenever you hear a new theme music, it will take time. And I think like in a couple of months, this new Roman music might stick.
I
don't know.
We'll see.
In a couple of months, I'll probably be reciting to you every lyric of Taylor Wilde's new theme, and we'll just pretend this conversation never happened.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Not really many notes on the actual match. Susie chokes Wilde on the ropes and grabs her shoe, but doesn't do anything with it. Kimber does a crappy spinning kick at one point, and then attempts a senton, but gets knees. Then Wilde hits a codebreaker, locks in a weird Indian deathlock with the setup that kind of looks like a sharpshooter because she's also Canadian. I thought that was kind of appropriate. So she kind of locks in as a sharpshooter, then kind of rolls over, and then it kind of looks like a reverse figure four. And that gets the victory. So Taylor Wilde with at least new moves in the repertoire.
Yep.
Susan then comes in to attack, and Tenille runs in and makes the save. I know.
I mean, I can see that's leading to Tenille versus Taylor, and that with that being like our first sort of like feud before going straight for the Knockouts Championship. building
there's going to need to be a bit of in between.
Yeah.
Because I think it looks like we're getting Havoc versus
Diora.
next, so
Maybe for Under Siege.
Probably for Under Siege, I would assume, yeah. And then Deanna will beat her, and then she'll continue to make the claim of, right now I've definitely beaten everybody on the roster. And then that'll lead to Slammiversary. Well, she's kind of tied up at the moment. I guess that'll lead to Slammiversary, where Taylor will go for the belt.
Yeah. Or maybe even later than that, possibly even Bound for Glory.
Yeah. I'd probably prefer that, because then that would give like Taylor a lot more time to kind of get used to wrestling again.
Yeah.
There's a Demore interview backstage where he was going to update us on the whereabouts of Kenny Omega, but Moose joins in. He asks, why am I jumping through all these hoops? Then Scotty sarcastically says, come on, it's just one guy. It's like a day off. If you beat him, you're through at the 6-way. And if you're as good as you claim you are, you can do all that, yada, yada. And then Storm comes in and has... Storm comes in as Moose has Scott Demore by the shirt, and he's like, oh, sorry, was I interrupting something here? Looks like something kind of bad was happening. And then Moose is like, right, so what do you want? Storm says, oh yeah, well, my granddaddy always told me, like, if I was going to fight somebody bigger than me, then pack a sack lunch. And so he hands over 2 sack lunches to Moose and goes, well, so there you go, because next week is going to be an all-night ass-kicking.
Literally made no sense.
I've heard that saying before. It's a very old school saying, but
it just sounds like cowboy gibberish.
Like, I think it's supposed to mean, like, if you're going to wrestle somebody bigger than you, it's going to take a while. So pack a sack lunch. But because Moose is very big and very agile, he needed 2 sack lunches. The part that didn't make sense was the fact that he gave them 2 Moose.
If maybe he wants him to get indigestion and heartburn, so it'll make it easier.
There's a good chance you could win this fight, James Storm, but you just have to envision how you're going to beat him. Oh, and a shocking knockout as Moose had a heart problem just moments before stepping into the ring.
He got the runs.
I flunked my way through that one. Ace Austin cashes in his rematch clause against Josh Alexander for the X Division Championship.
That's fucking banging.
Yeah. Striker said at the beginning of the match, Ace took his eyes off the prize, and that's why he is no longer the X Division title.
Yep. Makes sense.
You're right, he is not the X Division title. Josh breaks out a chaos theory for what seems like one of the first times ever after a long beatdown from Ace Austin. There's a spinning torture rack and a powerbomb for 2 from Josh. Ace hits a spinning kick that just crumbles Alexander, which gets a 2. Josh attempts his driver on the apron, but is then very lately shoved into the post. Ace does this incredible dodging to keep his distance from Josh on the apron, where they just kept, like, jumping over his legs, like standing on one hand and doing flips and cartwheels. Like, what a fucking amazing sequence that was. That needs to be gift.
Yeah. He kind of felt like he owned it at the start with like the mat wrestling. Is that right? Okay, what am I good at that he can't do? Oh yeah. Flippy shit.
Yeah.
It was the way that they done the sort of structured the match was really smart.
Yeah, because the first sort of half of the match was Ace Austin in control, but he wasn't doing much flippy shit. And then the second that Josh Alexander got a moment, he started doing all the submission stuff. So Ace was like, right, well, what else do I have in the bag? It's like, okay, let's just confuse him. Flip, 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 flop.
Yep.
So Ace is in the ring, but he gets he goes for like another dive while Josh is on the apron, gets a straight forearm to the face, and Josh plants Ace on the apron with a slam. Later on, Ace hits the facebuster, but Josh dodges the fold. Ace gets a kick and the Phoenix splash onto the knee of Josh Alexander for 2. But also in that sequence, Ace almost killed himself because he landed on his fucking head. Be careful, Ace. You have a fucking future. Ace attempts Josh Alexander's finisher, but Josh fights out. Connects with a powerbomb to the knee, locks in the ankle lock, which was an incredibly disturbing angle, not ankle. Because he locked it on, but like Ace's leg was all kind of bent to the side. It wasn't like your average Kurt Angle ankle lock at all. It was very weird and gross.
Like it was. Josh makes it look fucking real.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no.
And I felt like Kurt was just kind of like holding your ankle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like kind of hugging the ankle.
But Josh made it look like that shit fucking Hoyts.
I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Alexander's one of those kinds of wrestlers that's like, right, I go kind of snug. So, you know, if you want to kind of belt me a little, I'll take it and I'll dish it back out. A lot like what people say Sheamus is like.
Yeah. I'll hit you hard, but as long as you hit me back harder.
Yeah. We'll make this shit look fucking awesome. Like the match with Riddle. Like the two of them just went fucking ham on each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ace Austin taps out. And Josh is still the X Division champion. The Swingman is backstage with Don Callis, who was on the phone. Swingman says he's kind of short on the payout for the main event. And Don says, do you have a car, or do you like maybe have a stooge that might have a car that can go pick Kenny up from the airport? And if you can do this for me, then we'll call off this little amount of money that you owe us. And then the Swingman said, yeah, I've got somebody. His name's Steve or something. And Don's like, I don't care what his name is. Just get out there and pick up Kenny Omega.
No, it was talking about Bravo. It was talking about Dino.
Dino Bravo?
That's what he calls him. He calls him Dino because he's old school.
Right. That makes... Yeah, because you're right. Because when he said Dino, I was like, does he mean Dino Bravo? Because, hey, tell your brother. He's not going to be picking up anybody. Then Callis says, right, I'll text you the address. And Swingman goes, page me, brother.
He's just the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, every fucking time. There's a Grace and Ellering interview, which they were interrupted by Fire and Flavor. It was about this point where I realized, Jesus Christ, there's a lot of interviews with other people just interjecting in this episode. Fire and Flavor come in. They say Rachel was a true star, and the logic behind that is because we beat John Grace about 1 million times. And then Fire and Flavor asked for their rematch at Under Siege. That's 3 matches already scheduled for Under Siege now.
It's not going the way that I thought it was going to go.
No.
Especially with the name. I thought we would have like an EEW versus Impact show.
See, that would have been awesome. If they're going to do something like that, I do feel like they should do it at Daly's place, though. Like, have it under the Impact banner. but do it at Daly's place. So even if you don't invite fans to come and see it, or maybe they will, I don't know. Like, just if you're going to do anything with Impact, at least let them have one show, one big show, but do Bound for Glory there. Like, because if Bound for Glory is once again going to be in that studio in front of fucking nobody, that's going to be 2 years in a row that Bound for Glory is happened in front of no one. But I don't see why you can't just have it at Daly's place. You can maybe get a bit of a crowd in. Okay, they might be AEW fans. But if Kenny Omega is going to be in the main event, where I think he should lose the belt to someone, don't know who yet. I feel like that would be the way to do it, at least in front of people, whether or not they're fans of Impact or not. It doesn't really matter.
It would. I don't know. I wouldn't be against. Say if they're not going to have fans back, I wouldn't be against it. Well, I wouldn't be against them just doing it in Skyway Studios where they've been doing all their shows. It's great to see fans back, but I really don't want to rush it. Like, I've got the fucking fear about Double or Nothing this year.
Yeah, because that's announced that is going to be a full stadium show at this point.
It's a full capacity show. So
yeah,
I just don't want things to rush to where we end up back at square one again.
Yeah, but I mean, AEW have been doing really well, it seems, when it comes to fans and all that. So,
but they've been running at half with social distancing, but now there's no social distancing.
I know, but I mean, like, there's obviously more stuff than just the social distancing that they're doing. You know, they're checking temperatures and all that kind of jazz. And I mean, considering we've seen somebody literally post saying, "Oh, I've got COVID, but that's not going to stop me from going to WrestleMania," they're going to have some fucking dick that's probably going to be doing shit like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so much that you can police this stuff. And the rest is all down to fans not being arseholes.
Yeah, yeah.
This brings us on to the Rebellion rematches. Brian Myers takes on Matt Cardona in the 6-man qualifying match.
So happy that it was just a wee quick dislocation and not anything more serious.
Yeah, totally. And it worked in terms of the match as well, because most of the match was Myers just attacking the knee, sending the knee repeatedly into the stairs, using basic knee bars, a front chop block at one point. Myers continues smashing the knee off the apron, smashes the knee into the post a couple of times, but then Cardona pulls Myers into the post. Cardona then tries to fight back, goes for the hot mess, but Myers takes out the knee again. Cardona then at one point hits a sky high for a deep 2 count. Myers does a one-man flapjack and attempts a roster cut, but as he runs at Cardona jumps up, hits radio silence, gets the 3, and Cardona advances to Under Siege.
Round of applause.
Great, well done. I'm glad you're all right, brother. Or
Yeah.
bro. Bro. Do you not think it's just really dumb, the fact that they fucking got rid of Zack Ryder when you have somebody else that's blown about on WWE? Like,
That's probably why they got rid of him.
I know, but the two of them together would have been money.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
It's better than RK Bro. Violent by Design have a promo backstage. They talked about disappointment and how sometimes that can fuel them. Like when both Young and Diener both lost to James Storm. But Rhino is a representative of Violent by Design, and he is in the running for the 6-man scramble. So Eric Young pretty much guarantees that Rhino is going to win his match next week and he's going to be in the 6-man qualifying match. Rhino, though, does still have his... he's still got it. He's still got his call the shot.
I have to question their logic a wee bit. If you're picking someone from Violent by Design to be going into this 6-man scramble, why not Joe Doran?
I feel like it wasn't their decision.
No, but I mean, the people that decide, like the bookie people.
Okay.
Why not put in Joe Doran, have somebody fucking massive and formidable in the match? Gives them a fucking spotlight and what's probably going to be the main event of the show. You could have them pin someone else and not have him lose, but still look fucking awesome.
Yeah. Because Doran doesn't do much.
And that's like when he does do it, he's fucking amazing.
I know, I don't understand what, unless they're really trying to protect Doran for the future. But
it doesn't make sense. I think it's just because I want to see more Joe Doran.
Yeah, we're not getting it.
Yeah, we are really not.
Because the only time that Doran is ever in matches is it's always tag matches. I think there's probably been like maybe one time he's had a singles match and it was a like 2-minute squash match.
Was it not like on like Explosion or something?
Aye, something along those lines, like, or like one of his first matches when he debuted was kind of like a 2-minute squash match against some schlub.
Yeah.
Then we get a promo saying that El Phantasmo is coming next week to Impact, aka
Mr. Back to Back.
He's a fucking headbanger.
Headbanger!
I do enjoy El Phantasmo from what little I've seen of him.
His music's amazing.
See, this is the kind of people that you should be getting from New Japan.
You're going to love Phantasma.
Phantasmo.
Sorry. Beg your pudding. And you'll maybe see the sudden death.
Did we see sudden death? I mean, because I seen him wrestle at Wrestle Kingdom, obviously.
Yeah, he didn't start doing sudden death until after.
Ah, okay, so we haven't seen sudden death.
It's pretty fucking stupid, but it works.
So this is somebody else that's I would hope would be slotted in the X division.
Oh, he'll be in the X division.
Yeah, no, like it's from what little I've seen of him, I've really quite enjoyed him. So I'm looking forward to see what he brings to the Impact, and also I wonder if they're going to have any interaction between him and Kenny and the Good Brothers and all that, because of all these kind of weird teases of we're still the Bullet Club and the kind of things where Kenny clearly like sort of alludes to the fact that he still is in touch with Switchblade and all that kind of stuff.
Even though Tama Tonga has been very, very public in his opinion, basically saying they're not Bullet Club, they ain't chat.
Yeah, but nobody cares what you think, Tama Tonga.
He's kind of been almost the spokesman for Bullet Club recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just don't like him that much. There was a period where I kind of liked him, and then he just kind of started to bore me, and that's been really about it.
He's. I've not seen the ladder match yet for the Iron Fingers, but the thing with the Iron Fingers is it's turned him crazy.
Okay.
So he's when he's been on shows at New Japan, he's been really entertaining. fucking with Tai Chi.
So when are these big shows happening? The ones in the Tokyo Dome and the likes?
The Tokyo Dome show's happening at the end of the month.
Okay. I think we may need to be turning Japanese at that point.
The other stadium show is 2 weeks before, so I think it maybe falls on like the same weekend as Under Siege.
Ooh. Wonder if it's the same day.
God, I hope not.
Big wrestle weekend again.
Especially now since Japan's out of their state of emergency and they don't have a curfew. So it could be a fucking long show.
Oh, I bet you New Japan's been pining for those again.
Yeah.
So we get into our main event, which was Sami Callihan versus Eddie Edwards in a 6-man qualifying match. Which gets going a little bit, but Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers run in. They take out Eddie and Sami. Kenny Omega has made his contractual obligation to show up in Impact, and no strip of the belt for him. Then Finjuice try and make the save, but they also get beaten down, and we go off the air like that. So there's no winner of Sami versus Eddie. So do you think now this might become a 7-man and both of them just advance?
Quite possibly. Or maybe what they can do is maybe in another match, maybe have like a double count out or a double disqualification. Which then kind of cancels them out. And then you can stick the two of them into the 6-man.
To be honest, like this is my thought on it. Maybe just be like, right, well, there was no winner. Kind of see how we go from here, but what I think they should do is maybe have Eddie and Sami be reluctant tag partners, and they go any Under Siege against the Good Brothers instead, and then we just call it a five-man main event.
Yeah, could do that, yeah.
And this is kind of stemming partially off something that Chris said in our chat earlier on, was he thought it would have been cool if Sami Callihan started trying to join Mox and Eddie Kingston. And then I kind of like doubled down on it, saying, why not have Eddie Edwards as well? So then you have the 4 most notorious hardcore guys kind of in the business that obviously are Mick fucking Gage. And then you have this 4-man like hardcore stable going up against the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks and Omega and all that. Because, I mean, the 4 of them against like the Bucks and the Good Brothers, maybe at an Impact pay-per-view, like, or even an AEW pay-per-view, like whatever. That's something hella exciting.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I like the idea.
I have Stardom on in the background and Death Yama-san just tripped over the fucking steps.
I've seen a picture on Twitter and someone made her cry. It was a big blonde lady that wasn't Julia, but I think she's from Odeo Tai.
Big blonde lady. There is Natsuko Tora, who's from Oedo Tai, but she's not a big blonde lady, unless you mean like
she's
not tall.
Size-wise with like Ryo Mizunami, and height and stature.
Yeah, so that would be Tora then. Yeah,
she made Yama-san cry.
I mean, I may not like her. I don't want her to die.
No, cry, not die. I meant cry.
Well, I am significantly still behind on my Stardom, as I was saying earlier. So I'm working through it when I can, and when I can means right now in the background while we do this. But, however, there is still more to talk about as we move on to this week. We fast forward a couple of days from Thursday to Tuesday. The one thing that I have noticed about the switch from Wednesday to Tuesday when it comes to NXT is the fact that I do not have the time to watch Elevation and Dark anymore like I used to do, because Tuesday used to be kind of a free day when it came to wrestling, so I would always be able to get Dark seen quite quickly. But I have not. I've only about halfway through Elevation, and I am nowhere near getting onto Dark. So that's kind of why those little mini reviews of those episodes have kind of went to the wayside right now. I wonder if I could do it. I wonder if I can do more one-man shows, if I can hold my fucking bottle. But Tuesday is now NXT night, and to be honest, let's face it, NXT takes the cake here, because we started off with Lee on Ruff taking on Isaiah Swerve Scott. Falls count anywhere.
Jazzy Titantron.
Yes. Yeah, and you know what? That's the same logo he has in his t-shirts.
Yep. So there's another one for Jazzy t-shirts.
Infamous Spaff t-shirt returns.
And again, still not happy that NXT are basically changing the theme song every fucking week.
Ugh. Was there even an intro this week? I can't remember.
Yeah, there was.
And it was different. I must have fast forwarded through that this week, to be honest.
Since Stand and Deliver, the theme song every week has changed. Because I remember watching NXT after Stand and Deliver, and they used the new Poppy song, Say Cheese, that hasn't been released.
I remember that one. I remember that, yeah.
Oh my god, this is your song. Yes, yes, yes. And then next week, I'm like, yes, we're getting some Poppy. And then it was not.
Nope. But. So the match starts, the two of them, either side of the ring. Leon runs in, and Swerve just takes him out with a high knee. At one point, Leon attempts a dive through the ropes and is thrown into, not onto, the apron. Like, he gets like the side, kind of where all the bars and everything are under the apron. Looked gruesome. Swerve throws a toolbox at Leon at one point, and Leon dodges and kind of just looks at the camera like, what the fuck was that? Like, it was the look of death. There's a reverse Rana off the apron to the floor by Ruff. Swerve hits his flipping power bomb, which they say is called the confidence boost, for two on the floor. Remember that for later. Ruff at one point grabs the toolbox and hits Swerve in the leg and knee, and then hits a splash in the ring for two. Ruff hits a cutter, which sends Swerve to the outside, so Ruff hits a second cutter onto the floor from the second rope, which is a hell of a fucking height. Ruff then sends Swerve over the barricade. Ruff climbs a ladder and goes for a dive and is caught by AJ Francis. Like, they just name drop him as if we were supposed to know who he was. He's clearly one of the people that you see in the background of Swerve's kind of in-studio sort of promos, so he's not exactly a no-name, but this was the first time he was literally given a name. But they were just like, oh my god, it's AJ Francis! And it was like, who? So Francis catches Ruff and says, you must be outside your mind. And then DVDs Ruff onto the barricade. Swerve hits the JML, which I'm pretty sure was the same move they called the confidence boost earlier for the victory. And then Swerve leaves with his posse because there's two other chicks there as well.
There's a chick and another dude.
Was it another dude? I beg your pardon.
So it's two dudes and a chick with Swerve.
So Swerve has a posse now, though. That has intrigue, I must admit.
I think it's the House of Swerve.
The house that Swerve built.
Well, because he keeps referring to like Swerve's house and all that.
Whose house?
Run's house.
Roadhouse?
Run.
Run DMC is in the house.
Aye, do you not remember Run's House, the TV show? That was a bit like the Osbournes?
I was not aware that was a thing.
Yeah.
I was today years old.
That was the theme song for the show. Whose house? Run's house.
So it was like Osbourne, so it was like kind of a more laced in reality TV show.
Yeah.
See if it was a sitcom now, that would have been interesting. No, I like the fact that Swerve has a posse now. This has some kind of potential.
So now all you WWE NXT lovers that hate on AEW for having all these factions, you can now not say a fucking thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but exactly. But AEW sucks when they do it. Shut up. Honestly, man, like, see if you don't like AEW for proper reasons, that's one thing. But the one thing that I hate more than anything is the people that just hate on AEW without any actual reason.
It's almost like the Impact hate.
Yeah.
Like, it has a stigma from back in the day, but it's nothing like what it was in like 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015. It's completely changed. Just watch the fucking watch it, and then if you don't watch it, you'd have no right to say anything about it.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing. Is like, oh, so when was the last time you watched Impact? And it's like, oh,
it was there.
Okay, right. Well, that was also about 8 years ago. So, have you watched it recently? No, because it's shite, and you would know that how.
Yes, exactly.
Like, that's the thing. Like, Jesus, it's just wrestling, man. Like, it's
if you don't like it, don't watch it. Don't complain about it. Just don't watch it.
I know. Like, yeah, exactly. Don't watch it, and then
like I don't watch Raw and SmackDown for those reasons.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, if you're one of those avid watchers like me that watches everything, yeah, there probably will be Raws. Probably more so than any other product at the moment that aren't that good. But every now and again, Raw still has at least, bits and pieces of an episode that are good. Like, it's just, I genuinely think that it's because Raw is far too long as a product is part of the thing that really weighs it down.
Quick question.
Yes.
Is Maurice back permanently, or was it just
Nah, she's gone again.
Oh, okay, I'm definitely not watching fucking Raw then.
Yeah, but even Marie's coming back.
I will hold off judgment until I see. I'm not going to go, fucking Eva Marie. I'll wait and see what happens. Because she was pretty good in that TV show I was watching.
Yeah, tell us more about that.
It's a TV show spin-off to a film that not a lot of many people saw called American Satan.
Okay.
Where an up-and-coming band make a deal with the devil to become famous and
Tenacious D.
And shit goes fucking ski whiff.
This sounds awesome.
It's actually really good. It's the singer from Black Veil Brides.
Oh, Andy Black.
Aye, Andy Biersack, his real name. He's the lead. And you've got the guy from Asking Alexandria in the band as well.
Don't know any of their names.
Ben something. But you've also got actors in it, like the guy with the long curly hair from Sons.
Never watched an episode of Sons.
Oh, you're miserable.
Kind of.
Malcolm McDowell's the devil.
Okay, I know that name.
And you get like wee cameos and stuff from like other people. And then in the TV show, Eva Marie's in it for like 6 episodes.
Okay.
And it's not as if she's just like background in. She actually has lines. So you get to see her actually act. And she's not bad.
Yeah.
And GR's in 2 episodes.
What does he do?
He's basically just like sitting on a phone talking to the guy from Sons of Anarchy.
Okay.
And basically calling him a fucking idiot.
See, this is great.
It's really good.
Right, hit us up with a reminder when we're done so I can go and investigate this. But we'll get back to NXT just now as Gargano was walking backstage. He wanders in to Regal's office while he's having a chat with Scarlett. Well, I suppose we should actually mention what she's wearing because it pertains to the joke. Scarlett is wearing a fucking corset with her labs pretty much hanging out. Gano says, "Oh, I want to talk to you. Regal." And Regal says, "Yes, later." Then Theory's just standing there going, oh, "Those are huge. Are they real? They must be real. I mean, those are the biggest nails I have ever seen." And just starts grabbing like her gloves. Yeah. Then Gargano comes back in, ushers them out, and then you just hear the two of them like off camera going, "Did you see those? Did you see those?" And Gargano's like, "Yeah, our nails are huge, right? We get it."
You can't just go around touching people. Which is a life lesson for everybody. You can't just go around touching people. Not nice.
This brings us on to already in the ring, Asher Hale, but he has theme music. Taking on Cameron Grimes. Hale works on Grimes' leg early on. He attempts a spinning DDT but gets no dice. Hale then hits a drop kick off the top. Hale misses another kick, but Grimes hits the spinning slam, hits the cave-in for the victory. It was a short match, but you know what? Asher Hale kind of... ain't bad. Like, I would... it's clearly, like, the fact that they gave him theme music and a Titantron and gave him a bit of offense in this match, clearly they must be kind of looking into this guy for the future.
The name rings a bell. Has he been on NXT before?
Maybe as an already in the ring jobber.
There's something about his name that sounded very familiar to me, but I can't place it.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was a Thatcher guy when he used to do those in-ring demonstrations and all that kind of stuff. I will continue while you Google. Carter and Casey are backstage. They say that they are done with Tia and Shah. Forget those bitches. And then they want the next shot of the tag team titles. So they're going to be looking really close at the tag team title match tonight. Then Little Fluffer and Frankie walk in. Frankie says that she's been a fan of theirs for ages, but she's got to level with them and say it's got to take a while for you to win those belts. But I believe in you. I mean, we believe in you. This moves Grammy backstage. He's joined by Everrise, and Everrise are like, "Oh, so we got to celebrate your big victory tonight." And Graham's like, "Yep, all three of us, me, myself, and Cameron Grimes." And then he says, I'm going to the VIP lounge. And then he wanders off, and then the two overrise guys standing there with their little mugs of coffee, and then he's like, he's really bad at maths. Griz and Young Vets are out on a promo, calling out Thatcher and Ciampa. They don't see much of consequence except making fun of people's ugly feet, which leads to Thatcher and Ciampa taking on Griz and Young Vets. The Griz and Young Vets, at one point in this match, make a tag on the apron, which the referee goes fucking ballistic over.
It's an illegal tag.
Yes, it is. But Gibbo is still like, I had the tag rope and everything. This allows them to hang up Thatcher on a rope. At one point, all four of them were brawling, and as Ciampa takes Drake to the floor, Thatcher slaps the shit out of Gibbo and hits a butterfly suplex for 2 and then after he attempts the armbar, Drake gets in to break it up. And then Drake sends Ciampa into the announce table. This is the point where Wade on commentary says, I've lost my shoe. And all that hoopla. And then as Ciampa distracts the ref, the shoe is in the ring. Thatcher uses the shoe to wallop Gibbo. And then locks in the armbar and Gibbo taps, and Thatcher and Ciampa win via shoe tap out.
The best bit about this was Vic Joseph basically saying to Barrett, you hate Gibson?
What? I don't hate Gibson. Well, you took your shoe off? No! Don't let that be on record!
I thought that was very funny.
Mm-hmm. I know, I actually appreciated that as well. Hi, thankies. The way you're backstage, Gargano says Theory's gonna... What the fuck did I write? Gargano says Theory is gonna break down the door. He's gonna break down the door. So Theory goes up to Regal's office and goes, propose back his fist. It goes, Tap, tap, tap. And Gargano's just kind of standing there like...
That's a bad idea.
Yeah. Then Regal walks up behind them. Gargano says, Reed only won because of Dexter Lumis. So, yeah, he didn't win. No title match. And then Regal says, yes, title match. And then tells Theory, oh, yeah, your friend Scarlett says next week you're going to go one-on-one with Karrion Kross. And then Theory kind of, like, both of them walk away and you just hear Theory sort of mutter, like, I didn't even want to be her friend. Backstage, Swerve and his crew are leaving the building. Swerve just kind of turns around and says, I told you so. And then they all leave. But the two of them, the four of them look awesome together as a posse, and genuinely could color me interested to see where this is going to go. Hopefully it means some gold for Swerve. Then we get Saraya and Zeta Ramirez promo because they're going to go one-on-one later tonight. Just the whole promo was just, oh, look at these two awesome new wrestlers in the women's division. And it's like, yeah, the women's division is like one of the best parts of NXT at this point.
I think it actually is the best part most weeks.
Yeah. And this is the thing, because there was a period where NXT's women's division was really lacking. And
it was because they took... It was round about the time of the Divas Revolution, where they took away Charlotte, they took away Becky Lynch, and they took away Sasha Banks, and all that really was left was Bayley and Asuka.
No, I mean they done pretty well after that. I'm talking about like maybe about a year ago or so, like just kind of before Io won the belt. There was like a struggle with
Oh, aye, that was basically because Shayna beat everyone.
Yeah, I suppose it was during that time,
Shayna beat everyone, and then Rhea Ripley came on the scene, and her only real defense, or successful defense, was against Griz's favorite, Bianca Belair.
But now, because anyway, to go back to that, like that was during the time where I was like, Impact literally have the best women's division. If everything else could have been more like that, Impact would be so much better. And while Impact are definitely doing better in the men's division, like now that they've got a good couple more wrestlers on the roster than they did, say, about a year ago. Like their women's division is still like one of the best, but NXT have risen so much in that past year with the amount of new women that they've introduced to the roster. Like it's kind of things like Dakota Kai was there, but she was this sheepish little baby face that didn't really amount to much. Now that she's turned heel, like has become an absolute standout. And then Shotzi, who everybody was a bit on at first.
I'll put my hands up. I thought she was fucking shite. I hated her.
Yeah. I know, I remember that like 20-minute conversation we had at one point about her, breaking her down. But yeah, no, like they've really revived their women's division, and it's baffling in a way that we look at the women's division NXT every week being so fucking awesome as it is. And like, I mean, we've got 2 matches on this show. We haven't even spoke about either of them yet. And we're talking about how amazing these women's divisions are. And then you look at the Raw and SmackDown women's division that's so lacking in like major talent. Like bringing Rhea up was probably a good start, but you need to bring more people up.
They don't need to bring more people up. They need to start using the people that they have more effectively.
But like what I mean with that is the fact that like everybody's faced everybody about a dozen times. Like we need new matches. Other than Rhea Ripley being on Raw, like that's the only time we're going to get new matches from people.
The women, not just the women on the Raw roster, the men as well need to fucking step their game up, because there's a handful of guys that when I watch the pay-per-views I can actually go, oh, they're good, I like them, they're entertaining. The other ones I couldn't give a fucking shit about.
Well, I'm sure you'll be glad to know that Jinder Mahal is on main event, so
you can stay there.
Hanging about in the share. At least I think it was in the share.
Unless the Big Brothers have hit the roids.
And they went,
the roids and the buffet.
I mean, we've said this about a billion times, but Jesus Christ, 205 Live is... Look, 205 Live is its own brand of about 10 people. They're there every week.
Matches all the time.
Yeah. I could probably name that entire roster. You've got...
Is it not 9 now since Mansoor is now on?
Yeah, you're right, Well, even then, Mansoor showed up sparingly.
And he was undefeated.
Yeah, until fucking Raw, where what's his butt fucking fucked that up for him?
Humberto,
aye. Like, he came in, attacked Sheamus, and there you go. Mansoor's like fucking, 2-3 year undefeated streak is just broken by disqualification.
And where the fuck has he been?
On main event.
Humberto?
Yeah. I know, he was brought in on Raw and was really like quite the prospect. Then
Well,
he just
you know why, don't you?
why he was Heyman, yeah. Honestly, man, taking him off of that creative team was the dumbest thing.
I mean, it was better than what it is now, but it wasn't great. But it was still giving more people more opportunities.
It wasn't great, but he was working with what he was given. Like, because he was he was still running this during the beginning of the pandemic, wasn't he? Because that's why Apollo was kind of pushed towards the US title and all that jazz.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like,
even being removed is quite recent. Still, it's maybe been about 8 months.
Yeah. And it's just the way that, like, there were so many, like, young talents that were, like, really starting to get over. Look at Angel Garza, Aleister Black, Apollo, Humberto, that were all really starting to get some kind of wind behind them.
Even one of my faves, Buddy Murphy.
Yeah, that whole faction really with Seth Rollins.
What happened with him and Aaliyah? Like, did it just stop?
They got together, and then Aaliyah started posting photos of her actual boyfriend on Instagram, and so Murphy kind of put up a thing on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or one of the social medias and been like, "Oh, I see, I was just being used," or something along those lines.
Oh, poor Murphy.
And now, like the last thing that fucking Murphy done was being like going up to Seth Rollins and go like, "I'll help you," and Seth Rollins is like, "Get the fuck away from me."
Yeet.
The main roster is
Kind of in shambles.
Yeah. Oy. And then even stuff like Rey Mysterio and Dominic, like Dominic had a very hot start, had that fucking match against Seth Rollins at SummerSlam, and now all that's just gone, and now he's just some schlub.
Yeah. But then again, they do need tag teams on SmackDown, and them being a tag team sort of building up his experience. I can go with that.
I like the idea of the two of them being a tag team, but genuinely, I thought they should have won the tag titles at WrestleMania SmackDown.
I mean, I think it's in the cards for them. I think.
I know it's odd. There's a reason why we don't cover Raw and SmackDown anymore in this show.
Well, the reason is because I don't watch it. And
No,
look at me, I don't watch it, and I'm complaining about it.
Well, at least you're not fucking tagging the wrestlers like you're fucking shite.
Well, I found out some Mr. Asher Hale business.
Mm-hmm.
It was a wrestler from Evolve with a different name, so I don't know how I thought the name was familiar, because this was literally his debut.
Interesting. Oh well.
When somebody went, "Oh, I miss your technical style," on Twitter, and he's like, "Look, it was one match."
I know, Jesus, like let my character fucking evolve. Didn't even mean that. But I missed that. I missed fucking DJZ. DJZ was always a fucking highlight at Impact when he ran that gimmick.
So funny. Right, let's get back to NXT.
Yeah, back to NXT. Tangents galore, what can I say? It's time for my main man. It's Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross talks about Theory, who's going to go up against next week until he gets cut off by Kyle O'Reilly. O'Reilly says,
Kyle
O'Reilly. O'Reilly says, I'm not afraid of you, and this is the match I want. And I feel like this is the match you want too. And here comes Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne says, I'm the baddest man in NXT, and I dare either of you to prove me wrong. Then Balor comes out, and he's like, been there, done that. Then he's like, oh, Kyle O'Reilly, been there, done that. You spell it like Pete Dunne. That's the joke I'm trying to imply. Then Balor says, oh yeah, once you're done with Theory, and then pops Kross in the face, and then Kross swings back with another, he swings back with a shot on Balor, dinks Balor, and makes Balor look like a fucking bitch.
I think everyone compared to Kross, with the exception of Kyle O'Reilly, because it's just me playing favouritism, as a bitch.
Then all four go at it. Kross drops Balor with a lariat, which Balor almost lands on the microphone. And then they're all trying to move Balor backstage, and then Steve Corino was there, which just amused me highly. It's like he's telling Balor to go away. Then the Way attack Karrion Kross. Kross manages to hold his own and actually starts beating the fuck out of the two of them until a bunch of super kicks, and then a double super kick lands. Then Gargano hits Kross with the North American title. That was a lot of information to take in 30 seconds. And then the Way leave early, saying, oh, this is Candice and Indy's night. We're not going to cramp their style. And then they drive off.
It's the most sort of damage that anyone's really sort of done to Kross since he debuted last year.
Yeah. The most amount of damage anyone's done to Kross was himself when he fucking pulled his arm.
Yeah, but I mean from someone else.
I know.
Outside of a match, because I mean the Balor match was pretty physical, and he took his lumps there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you compare it to like the match for like Keith Lee, he fucking dominated Keith Lee.
It took 3 people for Escobar to even have a chance against Kross, and most of the time that was Kross still beating the fuck out of the 3 of them.
Yeah. So the Kross is strong as fuck right now, as he should be.
Mm-hmm.
And I began to I had a wee bit of an emotional moment watching Kross this week. I could swear to fuck, I saw Lionheart.
Oh, really?
Aye. Say with that fucking waistcoat.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that Adrian would wear. It's something that he has, very similar, has worn.
Mm-hmm.
That was his style. I was just like, oh, bless you.
Oh, man.
But it was nice to see that someone else has the same shite.
The same impeccable style.
Aye. Looking like a fucking contestant on Big Break.
Yes! That's what I was about to say. He looked like a snooker player.
Yeah.
I mean, I was digging the fucking waistcoat. You fucking know me. I used to rock a waistcoat for fucking years. Waistcoat, jorts, and a fucking black t-shirt. Fucking missed that. I missed my fucking jorts, but the zip broke. I was heartbroken. That's why I'm a cargo pants guy now. No, man.
It was nice. It was
nice.
That's
what I was about to say. At least that was nice that you kind of got a little bit of a cheeky wee bonus feeling, I suppose, for lack of a better term.
It was as soon as I seen the waistcoat, I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake. that is exactly what he would wear.
And he's bald as well.
And he's bald, eh?
With a lot of tattoos.
Yes. But you couldn't see the tattoos, but it was good.
Yeah, I thought you could see some of the arm tattoos, but...
But also, very nice of fucking Kyle to tip the hat to Lady Scarlet.
Milady.
He's a gentleman.
Yes. I am really starting to get into O'Reilly's new theme song, I must admit. I was very, what the fuck is this crap? When he first came out to it at TakeOver, but I'm quite digging it now.
So you should.
This brings us on to Zeda Ramirez versus Sari, the two newest acquisitions of the NXT Women's Division, go at it one-on-one.
I liked it a bit more this week.
Okay. What done it for you then?
I don't know what it was. It was just, I was watching the match and just kind of like, right, cool. I don't know if it's maybe because the match was shorter. Because
I
their
did not
debut
realise.
match, it went on a fair bit.
I was on mute there, so I apologise for the clingy clang.
Clink, clink, clink. But she's very, very, she's almost, the way that she wrestles, it's almost, she's like a female Daniel Bryan, the way she just flings her body sometimes.
That's a really good comparison, actually. Like, instead of throwing knees, she's throwing these drop kicks, because about 80%, I have about 2, 4, 6, 7 lanes, and about 4 of them are Saray's drop kicks, because...
Like that one she does where she whips them into the ropes, and then just literally the moment they reach the ropes, she's already drop kicking them.
It's a blam!
It's very much like Daniel Bryan's corner drop kicks.
Yeah, I wrote in the notes, like, these are the best drop kicks to hit WWE since Maven.
So I don't know if it's maybe because I've got that comparison now.
That you can... You feel it a bit more?
That I feel it a bit more, and yeah.
Yeah, like,
But no, she's, Sari's growing on me.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Son of a bitch.
Yes.
I was walking out the kitchen and fucking bumped my arm against the goddamn door.
Oh.
Some vodka and Sprite is taking a demise. No.
That's the worst bit. Fuck your physical harm. You spilled a drink.
I don't care about my physical harm. Like, the fact that I poured booze down me, I think I may have poured some in Bill.
Liquor.
Ooh, come here. Come here, Bill.
You licked that cat.
Nope, Taco, don't sniff that. Oh, yeah. I just came in and they're both, like, sniffing it, like, what the fuck is that?
You're going to have drunk cat.
Well, all right, then. I'll tell you a very quick story. When my other half first got her dog, this was, Jesus, about 9 years ago at this point. It was before we were, like, properly together, but we were hanging out a lot. They got him as he was a puppy. So me and a few friends were over at my house, and then her mum and dad dropped off Puppy for like about half an hour while they went to do something. I think they went shopping or something like that. And he was just running about the house, and then he just started drinking he just started licking the inside of like our glasses that had vodka in it. So he's like licking dregs. And then you can see little Puppy just wandering about, kind of staggering slightly. And then when we gave Doggo back to her parents, they were like, "Did you do something to him? Because he's walking all funny." And it's like, yeah, he was licking the inside of her glasses. he only maybe done it like 2 or 3 licks or something. Like Toby Rotis is like, yeah, you probably shouldn't do that, buddy. But he was just like, drunk dog. Yeah, the cats are more sensible than that. So Surrey connects with one drop kick that literally almost takes Ramir's head off. Surrey looks in the middle lock, but Ramir gets to the ropes. There's another drop kick and then a bridging suplex for 2 by Surrey. Surrey then attempts yet another drop kick, but Ramir evades and Surrey goes crashing at the ropes. Ramir hits a sling blade, like gets 2, but there's a back kick, a German suplex, and then the back suplex gets the victory for Surrey. The one question I have, though, are you into the theme song yet?
Once it gets past all the clinky clunkiness.
Because I feel like that's the kind of, like, because as you kind of mentioned, like, she is the Sun Princess, what the fuck her nickname is, I can't remember.
Warrior of the Sun.
Yes, Warrior of the Sun. So it's like the whole first part of that is like clearly sounds like the intro, and then when it starts getting into harder stuff is when it's like, oh right, now we're up for a fight. So it's like the first half of it is like, oh, it's her descending from the sun, and then it's like duh, 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 and it's like, oh, now she's here for a scrap.
Yeah. Once you get past the clinky clunky intro, it's not bad.
I mean, I don't mind the clinky clunky intro myself, but that's me with my clearly just want to be Japanese so badly, but not willing to learn how to speak Japanese.
I don't know if I'm maybe just overthinking it. But it's kind of like, right, she's Japanese, it doesn't mean she has to have Asian music. Again, I'm probably overthinking this, thinking it's almost like stereotypy. It's
kind of like Kyrie's theme song started like that. It went like it had the intro, the dun 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 dun.
Oh, do you mean the good music that they changed?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Kabuki Warriors theme was what it was, but Jesus Christ, like I remember I used to just put on Kairi Sane's theme while I was doing stuff around the house. I loved it that much. But nevertheless, it sounds like I think it's just another case of it's just going to take a wee bit of time for Surrey. Like, obviously, I was on board because you before she was famous. No, I'm not saying that, but it's going to be like that with like fucking any Japanese wrestlers. Like, oh, I've seen her at least a couple of times, but it is what it is, and I think like it's going to take time with some of these wrestlers. Like, definitely, kind of more wrestlers that are outside of America. It's going to take more time for some people to kind of get them if you weren't into the scene.
Yeah.
Now hire Julia.
Leave her in Stardom just now.
Eventually hire Julia.
She needs to beat Mia.
To be honest, like, I don't know, it's going to sound kind of sucky, but I feel like now that she's lost her hair, that needs to come back first, because I don't think WWE would get behind the new look. I mean, she's working with it the way that she is, but I mean, she looked incredible, like obviously with her blonde hair and all that kind of jazz. I mean, like that's the thing. See, when it comes to Joshi wrestling, it's one of two things. You either have, because very quick history in Joshi wrestling. They started them incredibly young, so that by the time they're like 25 to 30, that's them been in the business over 10 years, and then they call it a career, so that they can go off and live the rest of their life and be a star for 10 years. Yeah. So it's one of these things where you would either need to try and coax some wrestlers out of retirement, which you should by getting Kagetsu and Hazuki, or you really need to be quick and hiring some of these younger wrestlers that might not even have hit their peak yet. So it's kind of it's a tough kind of thing with all these Joshi wrestlers. I think Sarai is kind of slightly on the older side, and that's maybe why she's been picked up.
Mm-hmm.
When I say older side, I mean like, you know, late 30s.
To Joshi wrestling.
Mm-hmm. When I say older side, when I'm referring to Joshi wrestling, I mean I think she's probably about 28 to like 32 maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just that's the culture over there with the way they do it. Like back in the day, it was once you reach like 27, you don't get a choice, you're done.
It's like that in a lot of things, like even in like music as well. Like
the idol system.
Yeah, they start them young, and then by the time they're like 25, they're considered like old news. And it's like sometimes they do continue to go on, but it's just they're kind of looked down upon.
Yeah. Oh, you're old.
You're 25. I'm literally trying to look up Sarai's age. Oh, she is 25, so she's not even that knocked. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But she's been about for fucking ages.
Back in the early 90s, she would be getting ready to retire.
Exactly. Oh, how long have you been in the business? What age are you? 12? How long have you been in the business for? 13 years. Me and my mum were a tag team before I was even born.
Are you Paige?
Oh, Paige.
Paige, huh?
Paige, huh? So we cut to Imperium that are having a delightful little Zoom call with Walter. Walter is screaming at them in a different language, and the only word that I understood was incoherence, or incompetence even. And then they all kind of looked at each other and went, "Did you hear that?" And then Alexander Wolf wandered off. There's another promo for Diamond Mine. What do you reckon that could be?
Well, by the video that we've seen this week, it's clearly some MMA style, Team Filthy sort of gimmick.
Which brings me back to what I was talking about earlier with NXT Evolve, because apparently that was the kind of style that they were wanting to go for with NXT Evolve. Was it was meant to be very a la Raw Underground, if you've ever seen any of that. Like right. Dirty, grimy, dark kind of pro wrestling. Which was
kind of like the way that they do the blood sport shows.
See, I don't know if it's going to be like that in terms of, you know, no ropes, but I feel like everything else that was kind of involved in that. Like, I think it would probably have ropes, but maybe everything else is kind of that aspect where it is going to be sort of a lot more, maybe shorter matches, people kind of scrapping a little more, and it being a completely different kind of product. Which is, saying all that was how Evolve started. Evolve, like, see if you watch the first couple of Evolve shows, It was a weird company.
The week before, though, with the promo, and it was just sort of like the logo was all it really gave you, and the name. The Diamond Mine was the name of DDP's faction when he was a manager in WCW in like 91, 92. So for a minute, I was like, oh, DDP's going to go to NXT. And then I was kind of like, no, he's away sucking the Cody Rhodes' dick right now.
Yeah, he's all elite.
Yeah. So that kind of threw a spanner in the works.
It must be some pretty tasty dick, I must admit. Like, because a lot of people are willing to suck it.
Nah. It's probably got dog hair on it.
Aw, Pharaoh. What are you doing around? Oh, no. Nope. That's enough of that. Peanut butter dick. Backstage, you see Saray and Ramir kind of like, oh, thank you for the match, like kind of shaking hands and yada yada. Then you see Toni Storm just pure, doing the Vince McMahon walk. Walking up and she's going to start something, and then Stark kind of steps up to her, and the two of them stare down, and then Toni Storm thinks better of it and leaves. Ooh. Jake Atlas takes on L.A. Knight. It's in the game. Nate wins.
I've not thought of that for years.
How could you not?
I think the last time I actually heard that was playing WCW Mayhem.
I have WCW Mayhem. For the PlayStation Uno.
Me too. And I've got Backstage Assault.
I am. Oh God! Don't start by naming all these old games, because then I'll get on to another obsession. When I start to collect something, I go a bit mad, and right now it's horror comic books based on horror movies, as I showed you before we came on air, and it's emptying my bank account quite a lot.
Yep.
So I don't need to be reminded about all the wrestling games I don't own right now. LA Knight wins quickly with the BFT, which is his very Stunner-esque maneuver.
What does it mean?
Big, fat titties.
Cool. I'm down.
He's just really into massive chins. I don't know. BFT. I cannot think of what that could be. BFT. Let's have a genuine think, and we'll reconvene next week and see what we can come up with. Backstage, Indy and Candice are getting ready for their match. They go into the locker room, and there's a little drawing of Loomis and Indy on a chair, and Candice kind of sees it, stands in front of it, and as Indy kind of turns her back to start putting her gear, or her ring entrance gear on for the match, Candice kind of grabs it and throws it in a locker, and she kind of sits down in the chair it was sitting on, like, yeah, no, I totally know what you're talking about. And he's like, what was that noise? And she's like, I didn't hear anything. And then in the background, you could just see Loomis standing at the door, like with a big window on it. And then Candice's like, and then she just walks up and shuts the blinds in Loomis's face. And Indy gets on her jacket, and the two of them start making their way towards the gorilla position, because their match is soon. There was a Toni Storm promo. where she calls Stark the flavor of the month, and obviously this feud is not over. Phantasma are then in the ring, and they say, NXT, you didn't beat us at TakeOver, but last week we beat you. So Phantasma got a shot at NXT. Escobar also started talking about Kushida and how he put the Cruiserweight title on the map. And then Kushida appears on screen and says, okay, me and you next week for the belt. Then we move on to Gonzalez and Mercedes Martinez. Martinez says Gonzo is a cookie cutter wrestler and she's just a copy of Mercedes. Gonzo says, Martinez then continues to go on like, oh, all the accomplishments that I've had. And then Gonzo says, yeah, all the accomplishments you've had, you've set the bar this low. And then she kind of puts her hand close to the floor and says, in the span of 1 year, I have outshined all of your accomplishments. And then Mercedes replies with, yes. And in one night, because one night is all I need, I will take that belt from you, and that will mean nothing.
I'm in two minds about this. Like,
go on.
What if Mercedes wins? And then Gonzo has to chase all over again.
I think Mercedes is a really good wrestler and all that. I mean, I'm going to do it again, and I don't mean to. Oh, I've seen her years ago because I used to follow Shimmer when Shimmer started, and I'd seen her through all the early 2000s and all that jazz. And she's been consistent with how good she is. Like, it's been fucking maybe well over 10 years that Shimmer's been a thing, and she was on the first show, and she's been on practically most of them. So she has in terms of an indie pedigree, she has one of the best track records. But still at the same time, as soon as she came into WWE, I felt like there was something missing. And I feel like she's starting to find that sort of something that was missing now that she's been on TV more.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think she's there yet. I would say if they came back to this in maybe 6 months to a year, because again, this is that whole thing that I always go on about. When WWE brings in someone from the indies, they just assume that everybody knows who this person is. And then that's it.
Yeah.
Look at MSK. They're riding off the fact that NXT and WWE just assumed that you knew that they were the Rascals. And then there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I knew of the Rascals. I didn't watch any of their stuff in Impact and blah, de blah, and do. And it's there's a lot of people that haven't a clue who these guys are.
Yeah, it's like when they brought in Kushida, what did fucking Kushida do for months? Nothing.
Exactly.
Did it not take him a year and a half to even go on a takeover?
Yeah. And that was the most recent takeover, I'm pretty sure, was his first. Granted, he also did get injured, but it's just one of these things where, but at least when it comes to someone like Kushida, they can hype up his shtick, his accomplishments on commentary, because for some reason they have no problem mentioning IWGP title reigns and all that jazz, but when
I think it's because they're not actually saying the name of the company.
I suppose. But it's just the way that, like, that's the only company or the only belts outside of WWE that they have no problem talking about. It's very odd. But with that, saying all that, I just kind of like, no, I feel like they worked really hard building Gonzo up to this point, and I would feel really shit about them taking the belt off her this quickly to give it to Martinez. Like, I know she's a bit older. She has been in the game for a long time, but she clearly, like, she has that kind of wrestling style that would keep her going for a good other couple of years. So now's not her time. It's Gonzo's time. Gonzo needs to hold this belt arguably longer than Io, and maybe even as long as fucking Asuka did.
I would like to see her have a big lengthy reign as long as the challengers are up to snuff.
Yeah. Because, I mean, when you think about it, like, Gonzo's only been at it for about a year. And she was very sparingly wrestled people for the most part. So she does have a massive amount of challengers that she's not wrestled before to go through all these programs.
Yeah.
So she has plenty of time with that belt. And then, yeah, and Martinez can win it at some other point easily. But to wrap all this in a neat little package, I feel like, again, WWE are going off the whole fact of you should know who Mercedes Martinez is, and that's why she's maybe not getting as over, is the fact that, like, a lot of the crowd probably don't know who she is.
But I mean, she's been maybe not directly with WWE, but she's been with WWE now for a fair bit since the first Mae Young Classic.
Yeah, but even then, like, she's been pure in and out.
And she got pretty far in both tournaments. She was in both Mae Young Classics.
But, like, once again, that's assuming that everybody watched both of those, which your casuals probably wouldn't.
I think that your hardcore NXT audience watched the Mae Young Classic. And they're the ones that Triple H is catering to.
Yeah. I suppose, like, I guess, yeah, you're right. We kind of do need to look at it and that sort of thing of NXT definitely is the more, for lack of a better term, smirk company. So you do need to kind of look at that in the kind of way of people would know who she is, but even then, like, there are still probably a lot of casuals that watch NXT and don't have a clue who these people are or
and it's their
what
first
they've done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you still, like, it's kind of like TV shows in a way where, you know, if somebody started watching season 2 of a TV show, there's still stuff every now and again where they'll refer to, like, the first season and be like, oh yeah, remember when this happened? And then they show a quick clip of something that happened in season 1 to, like, it's like that kind of thing of just don't assume that everybody knows, because sometimes people just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about with Saray as well, is like, just don't assume that everybody knows, because I mean, even Saray is one of the very much more obscure Joshi wrestlers. Like, Kairi and Io had their pedigree, but Saray is someone that you genuinely need to go look for, because she was a freelancer. She wasn't just in Stardom and, you know, one of the big three. But nevertheless, rambled on about that for far too long. We cut backstage just before our main event, and Mr. Dr. Floof is there in the tank. Ah. And then Shotzi's like, oh my god, you're so cute. Hi. Okay, get out the tank. Come on, get it.
And then while they were distracted, Randy Orton jumped in the tank.
Yep. Yeah, that was it, clearly. Like, it turns out that this is a long-winded storyline where Randy Orton just shits in people's things and then puts the dog there.
Blame it on the dog!
Because Ember goes, that's not cute. And I was like, are you talking about the fucking dog, you bitch?
And Stephen Shotzi's like, what do you mean the dog? Oh, you're so cute. Look at the puppers.
And then she's like, no. Like, and then she's like, oh no. Dog poop in the tank. And she's like, okay, no, we're not raiding out the tank tonight. And clearly, this must be setting up for something. This is going to be Frankie's first feud.
Well, it's not just this. I mean, she's kind of been poking the bear with everyone.
With everyone, yeah, but...
So, what if Frankie's first feud is actually just with the women's division? And they just fucking hate her?
It's just the whole thing. Everybody.
Aye, everyone just fucking hates her.
Because, I mean, it's that kind of thing of... she's came in and she's, argued with a lot of people and all that kind of stuff, but this is the first time that her little doggo has, defecated in something that someone cares about. So, and obviously, remember the whole feud with Candice and how much, Shotzi was heartbroken about the tank and all that.
I know, the feud's still going on.
Yeah, exactly. It's happening in the main event. But, yeah, I feel like because of the result of the main event, looks like Shotzi may be moving on to something else. Grimes pulls up to a venue, gets told it's been fully rented out. Then a limo with a big dollar sign pulls up. It's the $1 Million Man.
Are they going I think the way that this is going, it's going to go into a sort of mentorship.
Maybe, I feel like this would have been better.
Have a match.
Yeah, they can have a match. I feel like this would have been better if Cameron Grimes was just a bit too... Well, I suppose he actually kind of has, in a way. A bit clumsy with his money.
Oh, he's been heavy frivolous.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like this may be that kind of thing where it's instead of him getting angry at Ted DiBiase, he's like, okay, teach me. And then that's when Ted starts to become his manager.
Yeah. But to be fair, Cameron doesn't need a manager.
Yeah. I don't like that idea, but
that's why I thought more of a mentorship.
Maybe.
Rather than a manager.
So Ted gets out and says, why just settle for the VIP place when you could just buy the whole club? Because everybody's got a price. And then he walks in the club and Cameron Grimes just goes, that's not even funny! Gramey, you slay me, brother. Coming up on NXT next week, Kushida, Escobar, 2 out of 3 falls for the Cruiserweight title. Gonzalez versus Mercedes Martinez, women's title. Karrion Kross, the NXT champion, takes on Austin Theory. And then also announced during the main event, Alexander Wolf will take on Killian Dane.
Sanity explodes.
Okay, so just before the main evento, how are you feeling? So this is probably about 2 months into having the women's tag titles. How are you sort of feeling about these belts now? Like, because obviously when they were first announced, I was not a big fan of them, and I must say, I think they've done a really good job with them. So what do you feel about how they've kind of went about with this for the past couple of months?
My issue is not with the titles themselves, it's the actual division. There's 3 teams. And at this, well, spoiler alert, all 3 teams have already held the belts. So it's kind of like, right, cool, where do we go from here? Look, you've got, Shotzi and Ember at the time were a team that were thrown together that have really made it work. Indy and Candice are in a faction together. Gonzo and Kai have been together since February last year. So it's you've got titles for a division where there's only 3 teams. It doesn't make sense. But all the title matches have been good. I mean, I can't say anything bad about the matches, but it's just the division is very shallow and it needs a lot more depth.
I know, and like the thing with that is, where do you go from here with that?
That's exactly what I'm saying. All 3 teams, like actual teams in NXT, have now all held the belts.
Yeah. So, like, do you try and hire wrestlers that are in known teams? Like, do you try and look into seeing if you can hire people like the C-Stars? Or do you just try and... it's the same
struggle. It's the exact same struggle that Impact has just now.
Yeah. But even, like, just the random combos in Impact, like, I feel like they just work better. And maybe it's because, to an extent, those people are a bit more focused on because there are less women.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously, probably about 6 months down the line, if you don't change the Impact roster, women's division very much, I can feel like we'll be having the same sort of conversation about them. Yeah. But obviously, we do have a lot of potential coming within the next 90 days, or however long it's been since that spell. So there could be more people going to Impact, so that may not be the same thing. But nevertheless, as I kind of says, I don't mind them now. Like, as I was not big on them to begin with because it didn't make sense. Kind of for all the same reasons that you've gave. But it's going to be an effort now to see where we go from here.
Mm-hmm.
But your main event is Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon taking on the Wave for the women's tag team titles.
Shout out to Shotzi for her gear this week. It was fucking awesome.
Shotzi dresses Freddy Krueger. I need to lay down.
It was great.
One thing, though, I know she has a Freddy Krueger glove. If she brought that out, like a real Freddy Krueger glove, like one you can actually shing, 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 which is clearly going to be, at one point, the next thing that I'm going to be trying to, get a hold of. And that's going to be worrying if I ever try and buy that from America and it comes through customs. And the Popo open it and be like, okay. So the match starts before the ring announcements. There's a double drop kick to Indy and a trash can. Ember goes for the cover, and as Candice tries to break the pin, Shotzi kind of turns around and breaks the pin herself.
Yeah, that was really confusing.
Yeah. It looked like, I don't know, like maybe it was a last-ditch effort to try and like stop Candice, but she kind of just turned around and just went, on top of Ember. It was really odd. At one point, Shotzi sets Candice up on a ladder and goes for the coffin drop, which she lands, but the ladder did not break, and I think that made everything so much more painful for everybody involved there.
Yeah, when things don't break, and we'll get a wee bit further on in the match, it does sort of add a bit more brutality.
This is my brutality. Moon spears Indy into a table that doesn't snap. I don't think
she didn't spear her. It was more like a fucking Alabama slam.
I was taking notes at that time, so I just assumed it was a spear. So thank you for the correction.
She Alabama slammed her into the table.
Okay.
Like the corner of it broke, so Indy got the full dunt.
And when you see people bouncing off tables like in the corner and shit, and it just looks solid.
That's what I meant by like an added brutality.
Yeah, fuck man. The weight set up Shotzi on a ladder, and Candice hits a moonsault, but Candice kind of misjudges it and Shotzi gets nothing but knees into her gut. Shotzi and Indy are fighting out against the announce table. Shotzi uses Wade's coffee mug and then lays her out, climbs up the scaffolding, and then Shotzi hits a crossbody through the table. Candice sets a moon on another table on the outside, and then this is the part where Indy Hartwell just runs in as if she wasn't just placed through a table, hits a springboard, hits an elbow drop through Ember through the table, then the Wicked Stepsister on Shotzi onto a chair, and the Way have won the women's tag titles. So as I say, the only critique that I kind of had was the fact that Shotzi, I can kind of give a little bit of a sort of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like a pass on when it comes to, because I mean, she was the one delivering the maneuver. So, like, obviously she would have got up first, but just the way that, like, the next time you see Indy, she was up, she was fine, she just, like, ran into the ring, ran across the ring, boom, springboard, elbow drop, and it was like, but you just got put through a table, like, less than 5 minutes ago.
In fairness, you could put it down to maybe like adrenaline. And after she'd done the springboard elbow, she was kind of fucked for the. She had nothing to do with the rest of the match. Fair dues, there were only like 30 seconds left.
Yeah.
But even during like the celebration, she didn't exactly run in and grab the belts. She sold it a bit more.
I know, but like when she did have the belts, she was just kind of holding them up and wasn't like holding anything. Just I think like something very simple, like say if she held her like her midsection or something, just to like just indicate like, oh man, that was gruesome or something. Like I don't know. It was a very minor thing, and I'm not going to take that away from them. So just an observation was all. And this brings us to AEW Dynamite, Blood and Guts.
Yeah!
And we started off hot? Question mark. With Kenny Omega and MT Nakazawa taking on Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston.
So the way he's with that laptop, did not change his name to IT Nakazawa?
That's amazing. MIT Nakazawa. Yeah, because MIT is like a... Oh, excuse me, hiccups.
It's like a computer science university in like Boston or something.
Yeah. A lot of MIT guys in BattleBots. They build robots. Don says that Kenny Omega couldn't make the match tonight. He couldn't make the show, despite the commentators saying, we saw him earlier on today. So he just says, yep, Nakazawa's going to go at it alone. And then Naka's like, wait, what? I was like, nah, you got this. You got this. So as Mox and King make their way to the ring, that rhymes, nice. Omega jumps both of them. This match was a bit of a mess because there were long ass periods of time where Mox and Kingston were just in the ring and like refused to get out. No? Yes? No? You have a confused look in your face.
Because I didn't see this.
Oh, fuck, now you did. I beg your pardon. Forgot about that. Okay, so yeah, there was long periods where Mox and King were just double teaming people, and then Mox was just wandering around the ring. Eventually, Naka hits a low blow on Kingston, which gives Team Kenny the advantage. There was a pile driver from Mox that gets a 2 count on Naka as Kenny breaks it up. Moxley locks in the sleeper as Kingston keeps Kenny at bay outside the ring. Then Kenny just says, fuck this, and leaves. Then Kingston hits a half and half suplex with the assisted lariat from Jon Moxley for the victory. This brings out the Young Bucks, which is one thing that I noted in last week's notes that we didn't get to use. Now that the Young Bucks are heel, they dress like Juice Robinson.
Just general.
Or more specifically, one of the Young Bucks, like Matt Jackson, dressed like Juice Robinson. The Bucks come out, and the Good Brothers then attack Mox and King. Then Matt Jackson just starts to strip. He throws his shoes off and then takes his shirt off, and I was like, oh my god, see if you take your fucking pants off, Jesus. Thankfully, he keeps them on, but he does hit a barefoot super kick to Moxley. Omega comes back and hits the one-winged angel in Kingston, and the two of them have been laid out by the goons. It's announced that Hikaru Shida takes on Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, at Double or Nothing.
Yay!
And then we get to QT Marshall versus Cody Rhodes.
And I'm back.
Jolly good. So I think QT Marshall came out to new music, or either that or it's a kind of revamped version of the factory music, because I kind of tried to skip through entrances for quick sake. It cuts to a fan in the crowd that says, I am probably the only real QT Marshall fan. And it's like, oh, bless. Even jobbers need their fans. And I can vouch for that being the only Miz fan from like 2005 until he started becoming a WWE title contender.
Yeah, I jumped on the Miz bandwagon when he was wrestling John Cena at WrestleMania.
And not before then when he became champion. Why did we even podcast together?
I'm on it now, and I'm on it I've been on it since.
The Miz winning the WWE title was like one of the greatest parts of my wrestling fandom. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, Edge was my guy back then. So Edge retired, Miz then became my guy.
Oh man, like This is that kind of thing where it's like, I just wish I could have done a podcast back in the day. Because it's like now I don't want to be the I told you so guy, but the fact that like everybody else in the world was like, Miz is trash, Miz is trash, Miz is going to get fired any day now, this and that, and me being the Miz guy, hence my nickname of Griz. It all stems from my Miz fandom. I just wanted it to happen so hard that when it happened and Miz became WWE champion and everybody saying, "Oh, the Miz is the Marty Jannetty of the tag team and John Morrison's going to do everything and and then when Miz became WWE champion, that would be the biggest I told you so moment in the history of podcasting. Nevertheless, didn't happen, but whatever. I did get a big told you so to a bunch of people, though. So QT Marshall versus Cody Rhodes. Cody goes for his belt early on, but it's taken off him by the ref. Then QT has his own belt, which he uses in front of the ref. And the ref doesn't disqualify him. Then, later on, they're fighting on the outside. QT that turns around and pops Arn Anderson in the face. And then Arn Anderson attacks QT Marshall, like popping him in the face, and then grinds his face up against the post. But again, no disqualification. And then they just eject Arn Anderson from ringside.
Because you can't disqualify one of the EVPs of the company or you'll get the sack.
That's not fair. QT beats down Cody for a long ass time until the two of them both attempt a crossbody at the same time. Cody goes for the cutter, but QT counters with the crossroads. QT sets up his cutter, the diamond cutter, but Cody counters. There's a buckle bomb with QT and a pile driver that gets countered, then countered, then countered, and then of course Cody hits it. Then QT kicks out, which I was genuinely kind of shocked at, but not as shocked as QT Marshall kicks out of the crossroads.
Yep, they're building him up. That's how you know.
Cody then kind of grabs the rest of QT, pulls him up. QT fingers Cody.
Oh!
I purposely wrote that because I was waiting on a reaction from you.
You wanted a fucking pop.
Of course I did. And I got it. I appreciate it. Cody slaps on the figure four. QT taps out. Then, the end of the match, Cody is absolutely gushing blood at the side of his face. When the fuck did that happen? Because I rewound the match, and in that whole kind of last exchange, he was not bleeding. When he pulled QT up, wasn't bleeding. When he done the spin to lock in the figure four, wasn't bleeding. As soon as he locked in the figure four, like half his face just started leaking of blood, and then when the match was over, like half his chest was covered in blood, and what the hell happened?
I'm going to put it down to the show was called Blood and Guts, so that's what you got.
I thought you were going to say a wizard did it.
No.
Ogogo then comes in afterwards, hits his panted shot to the gut, and then drapes the UK flag over the downed Cody. Whoa! There's a Paige and Scorp interview. They call it Sting for being a mosquito sucking blood out of the company. And then Ethan says, Darby, you and me have a rich history, but let's not talk about matches that no one's seen. Ish. Then he talks about how, oh yeah, you paint half your face because it's like war paint. No, that's to cover up the dent in your head that I left there. And also that metal that you have in your arm, I'll also give you that as well.
Oof.
And this part's actually really well documented in a documentary series called The Wrestlers by Damien and Abraham, if you get a chance to watch them. Or I do have them if you want them. And one of them, it shows Damien Abraham at the Evolve show where Ethan Page and Darby Allin are wrestling in a hardcore match, and Ethan Page brings down a bat and clonks Darby Allin in the arm, and his arm just fucking shatters. Hence the metal.
Damn.
Yeah. Darby then jumps both men until the numbers catch up to him. They grind Darby's face into the spiky shoes of Page, then throw Darby down the stairs.
I want these shoes.
The spiky shoes? They seem like your style.
And the commentators, oh, Darby's fearless. Right, I'm a Darby Allin fan, right? But let's not fucking sugarcoat it. The boy's fucking stupid.
I find it funny how he's willing to do things in his like kind of promos, like being dragged behind cars and all that shit, but getting rolled down a couple of stairs all of a sudden is such a heinous act towards him. And I mean, and then to be honest, during the break, we stayed with Darby, and he even like sat up and was kind of like, "Oh yeah, I'm a bit beat up," but clearly looked like he was all right.
Yeah.
And
them saying that, oh, Scorpio Sky is put Sting out of action. When was Sting in action?
Revolution.
Yeah.
That was like 2 months ago, yeah. Dr. Britt Baker.
Yay!
DMD. Took on already in the ring, Julia Hart. No relation.
I like GR going, not from Calgary.
He's not from fucking Calgary. Don't get it mixed up with the rest of them.
Because, I mean, you hear Hart, you automatically assume that massive fucking family.
When it's spelt the same way as well.
Mm-hmm.
Sling Blade, air raid crash, and then Hart kicks out of the air raid crash.
Unbelievable.
Lockjaw, and it's over. We then go into techniques by Taz.
I really like this.
This was
fucking awesome.
This was fucking awesome, man. Like, this was like, because Taz done this before Team Taz, and it was just a nice little additional thing that he done, which I appreciated. And then, like, when Team Taz started, he started doing it for his guys, which was also awesome because it's hyping them up. But now that he's doing it to critique people, it's this is awesome. This was the best one because he was like, oh well, look at Cage in this match when he went for the frog splash. It's like, oh, the way they went for the frog splash was all wrong, and he could have got more height if he'd done this and that. And then when he went for the kill switch, he'd done this and that also didn't look good. Now look at it when he went for the same move against Will Hobbs, and Will Hobbs powered out. And then, like, for some reason, just out of nowhere, he's like, but also, Brian Cage beat fucking Hangman Page. Like, out of nowhere. Already in the ring, the Varsity Blondes took on Jurassic Express, SCU, and The Acclaimed. And I am not going to lie. I lost a bit of concentration in this match. Was there any highlights for you?
No.
It was a lot of people doing a lot of like random stuff. I mean, it was a decent match from what I was watching, but I was as I say distracted. There was Luchasaurus with a chokeslam on, I think it was Max Caster on top of everybody at one point. Pillman was it Kaz? Pillman tries to use the tights to win and get a cheap victory at one point. Then it ends with SCU hitting the BME for the victory. I didn't see it going any other way, despite the fact that when I seen all 4 teams in this ring, I said to myself, the Acclaimed are the team out of these 4 that I want to win. And because I know that they already wrestled for the tag team titles, I knew they weren't. Varsity Blondes aren't there yet. And I feel like Jurassic Express are losing steam. And also the stipulation for SCU, they had to win. So, meh. We get some Moxley and Yuji Nagata build for next week's IWGP US title match. On a scale of 1 to 100, how fucking excited are you for next week?
75.
Agreed. Oh, this is going to be fucking awesome.
It's kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it has.
And then Mox tried to make something out of it.
Clearly, Nagata must be appearing on Strong or something for a little bit while he's here.
Yeah, he's booked a 6-man tag for this week. Aye.
Because he obviously wouldn't come over for just this. So obviously he's got to be on Strong.
Aye, and I imagine that the tapings have happened for Strong already. So he's probably going to be on it for like the next month and a half of worth of shows.
The thing that I find so interesting is when
they're having it on Dynamite.
Well, there's that, but also just the way that when it comes to Jon Moxley's US title, he turns into a completely different person, as if like we seen Mox earlier on in the show, and we seen him earlier on the show with his feud with Kenny Omega and all that hoopla. And then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, US title, this is the only thing that I care about. And it's just the way that he has to kind of work 2 gimmicks at once. It's very strange.
Yeah, and especially since like next week when he hits the
Death Rider.
I was going to say I can't even remember what they call it in AEW, the paradigm shift.
Paradigm shift.
Are they going to call it the paradigm shift, or are they going to call it by what he calls it in New Japan, which is Death Rider?
Yeah, that's a good point actually.
Are they going to refer to him as the Death Rider, Jon Moxley?
Is he going to come out to his AEW theme music or his New Japan theme music?
They're the same.
No, they're not.
Oh no, you're right. They're not. It's just it's been that long since fucking Moxley's been in New Japan.
I know because like when I watched the Kenta match on Strong, I was for some reason I was just waiting for and then he came out to different music on Strong. It's like, oh yeah, New Japan theme. I suppose that's kind of a way to kind of differentiate them, though. Like when he was talking to Nagata, that's the Death Rider. That's a completely different person than Jon Moxley that we seen in the opening match.
Yeah.
So,
go on. I don't know, but I kind of want Nagata to win.
I mean, so do I, for a whole bunch of different reasons.
I want him to win for the reason of getting the belt back to New Japan.
Yeah.
I want him to win because he's not got long left in his career, and this is like going to be like one of his last big fucking matches. So let's give him a wee run.
Agreed. Yep.
He's making his return back to fucking TNT after 13 years. No, 22 years.
22?
22, 23 years.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's insane to think that it was that long ago.
Yeah, I was 8 the last time he was on TNT. We were 8.
I might have been 7, depending on the dates.
Nah, it was like the last time he appeared was like the July, so we would have been 8.
Yeah, you're right. But Nagata, yeah, he's an old guy that can still fucking go. And Nagata's like arguably one of my favorite daddies of New Japan.
Yeah,
so,
out of the dads, I'd say it's between him and Kojima are the two best. Soon becoming a dad, probably Tanahashi.
Aye, former MLW champion Kojima.
Tanahashi's not long from being a dad, I don't think.
Yeah, but he's one of the sexy dads. He don't have dad bod.
SST. Stupid sexy Tanahashi.
Stupid sexy Tanahashi. Or as my other half calls him, window jacket, because she seen him enter one time wearing the jacket, and she found it so entertaining that he had a little like cutout out of his jacket for the belt. It's just like, oh my god, does he have a window in his jacket for the tail? And then I was just like kind of sitting there watching, like just pure thinking it ain't no thing, and she thought it was the funniest thing in the world. It was like, so like from then on, he's been known as Window Jacket. So anytime I ever talk about Tanahashi, I just call him Window Jacket.
Nah, I call him Stupid Sexy Tanahashi.
I mean, there's that as well. Agreed. But Ishii to her is Giant Baby. And David Hart Smith is Suburban Dad.
Suburban Dad. Oh, Suburban Dad with a midlife crisis, the way he dresses.
And that's the extent of New Japan that she knew back in the day when I used to watch it frequently, and pretty much all of it now. She knows Shinsuke as well, but that's more so because of the Tempura Kids music video that he appeared in. So Omega is out before the main event. He finally brings back the AAA Mega Championship. Then it's announced that the two top contenders will go one-on-one next week to face Kenny Omega. You've got Pac and Orange Cassidy. You sound excited.
If it's Pac, yes, I'm excited. Me personally, I'm not ready for fucking main event Orange Cassidy. Cool for a Dynamite, but not for fucking your first full capacity crowd show.
I mean, I will agree with that. And I'm still sitting here kind of wanting Orange Cassidy to win, but I fully agree with you in that sort of aspect.
There's so many more people that they could have put in this fucking spot that would have made it a big match for everyone coming back. I get that he's loved and beloved, and the match will probably be good, but in my personal opinion, he's not there yet to be in the main event of a pay-per-view.
Yeah. But like the way that this, because after he said that, Orange Cassidy came out, stood next to Tony Schiavone, and then Kenny Omega could go and pack in who? Pack in who? And it's kind of one of these things where it's very much leaning towards Cassidy, which might have been the whole point, that it may be leaning towards Cassidy purely for the fact that it's not going to be.
Yeah. I can see that.
So Kenny takes Cassidy's sunglasses, puts them on Naka, and says, "Oh yeah, you're not championship material. The only thing you could have ripped off was the sunglasses because I made sunglasses famous." It's like, you're not wrong there. And
not wrong, but not right either.
Yeah. The Rock made sunglasses cool.
And before that, Bret Hart made them cool.
Well, they weren't exactly sunglasses.
No, I'm talking about his WCW ones.
See, I don't know about the WCW ones.
The circle ones.
Were they proper sunglasses, or?
Yes, they were proper sunglasses.
Yeah, because when you see Bret Hart and sunglasses, the first thing I think is those weird fucking plastic things. Yeah.
Looking like Geordie LaForge for Star Trek Next Generation.
That's also a reference I totally get, but for the people at home that don't understand that, why don't you explain it to them?
It's just a black guy with like a visor over his eyes, a bit like Cyclops.
Now, see, that's where you probably should have went. Just before the main event, Miro gets interviewed. Miro has a contract saying next week Darby Allin will defend the TNT title against Miro. And if Darby Allin can't make the match, Miro will win the belt by forfeit. So what do we reckon here? Do we reckon Miro's winning this thing, or is Darby getting another fluke victory?
Miro has to win at this point. He just has to win. Otherwise, it's kind of like, cool, you've dropped the ball, because since Arcade Anarchy, he's really fucking upped the game with the intensity and just the viciousness.
Do you know what the worst thing is? The first thing that's made me care about Miro is the fact that he's dyed his hair back.
Mm-hmm. He's not blonde.
Yeah, I thought that was a terrible look for a start.
Some people just don't suit blonde. And once we get past, I'm going to say when he wins the belt and he's got his hair back, the next thing that needs to change is that fucking music.
I don't mind the music.
It's linked to Kip and Penelope.
But it's a play on words.
You're a play on words.
I know. But he was the best man for the wedding, but he's also the best man. He's the best man. Like, he's just, like, of all the men, he's the best one. So next week's card looks like this. Darby Allin versus Miro, TNT title. Cassidy versus Pac. Winner will go to Double or Nothing to face Kenny Omega for the AEW title. The Bucks take on the SCU for the tag titles. Jade Cargill will be interviewed. Cody Rhodes will say something about what he's doing at Double or Nothing because it can't just be announced like a normal match. And Jon Moxley takes on Yuji Nagata for the IWGP United States Championship. This brings us to Blood and Guts. So, just before we get into the match, what did you reckon of the setup? Go into detail.
Do you mean like the rings and stuff? Or do you mean the setup for the match?
Everything.
Right. I get why, like, the way that they set it up is... It was quite confusing because WCW, the way that like, WCW done it, WWE followed kind of suit and had them side by side against the hard cam, but their hard cam faces the entrance, so that's why they're side by side like that. The way that the cage structure looked, it was kind of hard to see sometimes through the cage because of the trusses and like the middle and stuff. I mean, it's a big fucking cage, and the gap between the cage and the ring gives me the fear. They didn't have anything in between the two rings for safety, like the metal grating or anything, just so that it was like an even footwork, which also gave me a wee bit of worry.
Apron on apron.
Yeah, so there's room there to fall between the rings, and that you could use that as part of the match, or it can really go towards hurting someone.
Well, the thing that scared me the most was the fact that the cage wasn't secure, because there were people falling between the cages and the ring during the match, and that terrified the hell out of me.
But that happened with Cody and Wardlow.
Did it? I don't remember that.
Yeah, he threw him at it and Cody fell down between the cage and the ring.
See, I don't like that. See, if there's one thing that WWE do really well, it's the structure of their cages, because they have the thing solid.
Yeah, it's quite flimsy sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it made for quite gross spots.
The idea of a cage completely covering the ring is cool, because then it means you can't do that whole, I can put through the ring and I rolled down from it, I win the match. You can't do that fluke.
Hey, that was a great ending.
That was a good ending. It was good. It was one of those, oh, you fucking bastard.
Or in my case, it was, you fucking dancer, which is a term I never use.
But it means that they maybe need to be a bit more creative. And the ending of this match, boy, was it fucking creative.
Well, okay, we'll dive into the match. There is another point of the flimsy cage that I want to get into as it goes on, but may as well dive into it. So the Inner Circle come out in Michael Myers style overalls, which looked fucking awesome. Because
Michael Myers style overalls? You don't mean prison jumpsuits?
I said what I said.
You're on a horror kick, I get you.
Mm-hmm. So Dax and Sammy start off. They say that, oh yeah, Dax has the tank to go, and it's like,
a tag wrestler?
I know, exactly. That's hence the noise of, would you not want to put in Sean Spears first? You know, tried and true singles wrestler, as opposed to a tag guy that that tags out more often than is part of a team. Yeah, I found that very odd. Unless, I mean, granted, obviously they are clearly trying to hype up Dax, as we've kind of mentioned before in the past. So maybe it's one of those kind of things where definitely they are pushing Dax for one day to maybe split him from FTR.
Don't do it.
Not yet, anyway. Maybe down the line, I can easily see Dax being a TNT champion, though. Sneeze. So early into the match, Dax Harwood hits the spine buster on Sammy and goes for the cover, but no dice. Sammy lives up to his promise, and Dax is busted open within the first 5 minutes. Sammy promised during the commercials last week that he will be the first one to have Pinnacle blood on his hands. Sean Spears comes in next with a chair with his logo on it, which at least works with the whole he's the chairman. He's the chairman. Sammy fights off Dax, and Spears just creams Sammy with the chair at one point, which looked gruesome but yet safe. Ortiz is in next, again with a chair, which he throws in the face of Dax, and then drops Spears neck first onto the chair. Well, he kind of uses the chair as a kind of boing. Sammy and Spears jump up to the top rope to fight until Ortiz takes out the legs of Spears, which gives Sammy a Spanish fly. Sammy then tries another springboard and completely whiffs it, which is the first of a couple of flubs in this match. More specifically, next, when Cash comes in next, tries to run up the ropes and just kind of fumbles and flops trying to take Ortiz off the ropes.
I understand the Cash flub. I can just look at that and not see a flub, whereas it was so frantic to get into the ring.
Yeah.
It was just all limbs and
frantic was the perfect word for that, because that's what I was going to say as well. Was it just seemed like he was frantically trying to get in and do whatever he could, and no form of elegance was involved.
Yeah. But whereas if you're doing like a springboard or something, that needs a bit of finesse.
But again, like the whole thing of the way that when Sammy flubbed that springboard, like the commentators covered it well by saying, "Oh man, yeah. all that punishment he's went through," and it's like, right, okay, cool. It is what it is. Like sometimes flubs happen, and like what you need for that is a good commentator to cover you, and they done it well. Like obviously, some people look at that and go, "Oh, look how sloppy this is! Everybody's falling about everywhere," and it's like, fuck off.
No, they covered their arses pretty well with the whole match.
I mean, obviously, I'll cover it whiffs when I see it, but still, like, I'm not gonna like fucking sit on them and be like, "Ooh, this could have been better." It's like, fuck off. Like, this is the first time any of them have ever done a match like this. Like, cut them some slack. Cash drives Ortiz face first into the cage in front of Santana, who was on the outside. Ortiz is hit with the gory special, and then this is the part where he slides down the cage and under the ring, which I don't think this was meant to happen, but when it did, it was just kind of like, it just made that look even more gruesome, just the way he was just kind of like down the side of the cage. Led to a better visual.
Yeah.
Santana's in next, comes in swinging, takes out FTR. Big Bad Wardlow comes in next for Pinnacle and just starts very slowly demolishing the Inner Circle. Sammy gets thrown out the ring and into the cage at one point, and then his leg gets stuck between the cage and the ring, so you see him kind of rolling away from the cage, and then he just kind of goes, "Ah!" and then starts grabbing his leg, and it's like that could have been something much, much worse.
Yeah, I was really worried for Sammy's knee.
I know, like I kept like purposely trying to look for Sammy every instance I could after that, and then obviously he was fine. The Hagermeister himself comes in next. Hager locks in the ankle lock on Spears, who taps, but ain't time for that yet. Wardlow and Hager then go at it. MJF is last in for his team, obviously, which means Jericho, again, obviously, will be last for his, but I say that as obviously as Jericho, I don't think, could go this whole match. Cash, at one point, is absolutely covered in blood. Again, like, similar to his partner, and Jesus Christ, can FTR bleed? Oh my God, they're on the Muta scale.
Old school.
God, they even bleed old school.
That's what I mean. They're just old school in general. It's awesome.
Yeah. Jericho comes in, the bell rings, and all-out assault is on. Thank God they didn't call it the match beyond, because I thought that was a dumb-ass saying.
Well, they don't even refer to that in WWE anymore. They just say War Games officially begun.
Yeah. But I always just thought like the match beyond was a really shitty saying, so I'm glad they got rid of that. All-out assault is so much better as well. Jericho pulls out his bat from his overalls.
Floyd
indeed. Spears climbs the cage and Jericho sticks Spears' head through the trust. MJF gets hung up on the top rope, and at this point I thought that one of the top ropes were broken because they had the big kind of stare down between the two teams and they went at it, and I just thought that maybe there was too much weight on the top rope, but then seconds later it shows Spears actually taking apart the ring rope from one of the corners, which made it slack, while FTR are in the other corner ripping up the canvas. Wardlow and Hager are MMAing in one of the other rings, and they just kind of
MMAing the shit out of each other.
I mean, they really were.
Wrong cage, dude.
It may be interesting to see if Wardlow can go in the cage. Ortiz
wearing that support tape on his left Achilles. I noticed. And the only reason I noticed is because he was wearing white boots with black tape.
Yeah, I didn't notice that, to be honest, but I would hope that he didn't injure himself in training or something. Because Wardlow is the one kind of guy that I would have loved to have seen just start this thing. Ortiz has his sock with the pool ball in it, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. The slapjack, or what did they call it? They didn't call it the slapjack.
They called it something like a mad ball or something.
Mad ball, that was it. FTR attempted pile drivers on Proud and Powerful, but Proud and Powerful countered, and then they hit twin spike pile drivers with the help of Sammy on the exposed wood.
Sammy got up there quick. That was just so fluid. It was, like the way that Jeff Hardy does his entrance when he gets into the ring and he does the weird twisty jump. It was almost like that, but Sammy had no top rope to sort of balance him either.
Yeah.
It was so fucking good.
So their pile drive on the exposed wood, that kind of takes them out for a while. Sammy then goes for a coast-to-coast drop-kicking the chair into the face of Spears. MJF also covered in blood as all of Inner Circle take jabs at them. The War Dog then starts fighting back, starts taking out the Inner Circle one by one, till Santana has his baton. Then Hager at one point runs, dives at Wardlow, and then Wardlow falls over.
It was, I mean, all that weight coming towards you, with the momentum, you're going to fucking stumble. I get what I'm trying to do, but let's be realistic, guys. Come on.
I know. Then he kind of stands back up, and then Inner Circle beat him back down. Then I feel like this match hits a lull for a little bit because it's just about 5 straight minutes of the Inner Circle just punching the Pinnacle. Nothing happens.
It wasn't even they were punching the Pinnacle. It just felt like for 5 minutes they were all just doing an MGF.
Yeah, like, and then also, like, when I say that FTR were bringing up the kind of corner of the mat, Jesus, that took forever as well. But is what it is. Like, they were trying to do stuff here. I feel like I can't help but feel as if maybe Tully was maybe a bit late in his cue or something, because Tully then attacks the referee, gets the keys, and gets MJF out of the cage. Then
I'm not putting that down to Tully. I think the cue was MGF when he comes over to the door, you attack the ref and let him out.
Maybe, yeah. I'm not blaming it on Tully either. It was just an assumption. So Tully attacks the referee, gets the keys, opens the cage, and MJF gets out and climbs the cage. Jericho tries to get out, and Tully tries to keep him in. So Jericho throws the cage door, takes it Tully, and then Jericho begins to climb the cage. And 3 minutes later,
he gets up on top of the cage.
Because clearly you could see at ringside. He starts climbing the cage, stops, looks at the fans. He climbs a little more, stops, looks at the fans like, come on! Then dilly-dallies.
I actually think that they were in commercial break.
They were. You could tell because, see, the second that Excalibur goes, and we're back. And then all of a sudden Jericho's like, and then just fucking Jericho claimed the thing, no goddamn problem, but he just kept going at the camera. So Jericho finally joins MJF on the top of the cage. He locks in the walls of Jericho. MJF hits a low blow, puts in the salt of the earth. Jericho refuses to tap, so MJF breaks it, works on the arm, locks it in again. Jericho still won't tap. And then you could just hear all this clatter and bodies bouncing and all that kind of stuff. And like, this would be the perfect time for a split screen, which never happened. MJF then pulls his ring out of his pants, pops Jericho in the face. Jericho starts gushing of blood as well. MJF then sets up Jericho on the edge of the cage. Then he just starts screaming, if you don't surrender, I'm throwing him off. And then you can see members of the Inner Circle at ringside. They're like waving, and then eventually you hear Guevara say, okay, we surrender. And then the match is over. Just like that. And the Pinnacle have won Blood and Guts. However, after MJF turns around and celebrates, he throws Chris Jericho off the cage anyway, and Jericho goes through the rampway. So what did you think of the bump?
Looked pretty good. It's the safest way they can do it.
Yeah. I see, to be honest, from the cage to that ramp was probably the shortest fall off of any side of the cage. So I think it actually worked kind of well.
Yeah, it reminded me quite a lot of, like, remember when Undertaker chokeslammed Rikishi off the cell onto the back of that truck?
Or Canyon on the triple cage.
Yeah. But I was just meaning more the style that he'd done it. It wasn't like a throw.
Yeah, it was a very safe sort of shove, and Jericho just fell back comfortably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although there was a part where you could clearly see the two of them talking, but whatever.
I'd like to think there was a camera on the ceiling at Daly's place, panning down on him falling, maybe do it into slow-mo, and do the ode to joy, and you could see him falling like Hans Gruber.
The Wile E. Coyote cam.
La da 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 da, oh, dead.
Okay, so what did you think of Blood and Guts?
A tiny wee issue with the match, though.
Perfect.
But this is just personal preference.
Uh-huh.
I was very much, where's Sammy? What's Sammy doing? Is Sammy okay? Where's Sammy?
Probably the whole reason you should have split screen.
I wanted to see Sammy Guevara like this whole match. So it's not really a problem with the match, it's just me.
It's a you problem.
Yeah, it's a me problem. It was so, where's Poochie? What's Poochie doing?
If Poochie's not on screen, more people should be asking, where's Poochie?
Aye, exactly. That's kind of how I felt about Sammy. I was like, where's Sammy? I want to see Sammy. What's happening with Sammy? Because they spent so much time in the top of that cage. It was kind of like, right, okay, so you're telling me that nothing is happening in that ring right now?
That's exactly what I said. Like, see when the two of them were fighting on the top of the cage, that's the perfect time to switch to fucking split screen, because there was shit going on. You could hear clattering and all that sort of jazz.
Mm-hmm. And I will give them a round of applause for the hostage finish.
It was interesting. It was a bit anticlimactic, but...
Oh no, I thought it was great. Fucking basically MJF was holding Jericho hostage.
Yeah, I suppose It
was cool. And they left enough for them to escalate in the next Blood and Guts match.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like we are with the first Hell in the Cell with Shawn and Undertaker, and Shawn's basically looking to do everything he can with the cell to the point where in the next one, to then escalate, you literally have to throw someone off the top of the cage.
Yeah.
Like, inside the cage and stuff, they've left a lot of ideas for another Blood and Guts match, to the point where it's not like, oh great, this is the bit where he does the thing.
Yeah.
Like the way that WWE are now with their ladder matches.
I mean, the annoying part with that was when the two of them were fighting on top, I was expecting one of them to go through the grate and then go into the ring. Because like the grate that they had on top was significantly flimsier. So I was waiting for that to happen, but whatever. Like, I mean, that's stuff again that you can easily do in the future. Very a la that one time where AJ Styles went through the roof of the Lethal Lockdown. Like
that wasn't intentional,
wasn't it?
No, their foot fell through. It didn't go through the cage.
No, there's one time where like he went through the cage and hit like a phenomenal forearm on somebody, like deliberately. Don't ask me the year because I don't remember at this point, but I remember like there was one point AJ was fighting somebody on top of the cage and he just kind of went, huh! And then just jamp. The whole ground caved in from under him and he just hit somebody in the ring with phenomenal forearm. Unless I dreamed that, but I'm pretty sure that happened.
AJ spots in Lethal Lockdown. I remember him climbing a ladder on top of the cage and doing a dive onto James Storm.
Was that?
I also remember Kurt Angle throwing him off the top of the Lethal Lockdown cage. But I don't remember him jumping through it.
100% sure that happened.
But all we have to do is just go and watch every Lethal Lockdown match, which I'm not against.
Yeah, me neither. Hashtag Impact Plus.
Hashtag Robert's hard drive.
Well, after Lucha Underground, we'll do... Well, I believe that's an episode.
That was an episode.
Oh, it was a glorious episode, I must admit.
Glorious! Which isn't a thing anymore.
I know. It's we're here to show the world. Oh, we're here to show the world. Oh, these days, bad theme music. Well, I feel like you should go first because you did the thing first.
Typical man. You just want me to finish you off first so you don't have to do anything.
Yes. Please.
Okay, right. I've done enough. Done it.
That was fucking gross.
Oh!
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Remember, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Heel Podcast. And also, don't forget, you can hear our archives on the World Wide Web at heelpodcast.co.uk. Well, that's all, folks. So long. Have a good day.